freekeen.com. Listen live at freetalklive.com.
From Keene and the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, December 15th, 2015. Silver is trading at $13.71 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,064 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $452. Antiwar.com reports, in what appears to be the single deadliest strike of the 9-month Saudi war in Yemen, forces loyal to the Shiite Houthis fired an OTR-21 Tachka tactical ballistic missile at a pro-Saudi coalition base near Taiz, with early reports putting the death toll around 152 troops. The identities of all the slain are still being sorted out, but dozens of foreign troops are among the slain, including Saudi Special Forces Commander Colonel Abdullah Sayyan. Emirati and Moroccan soldiers were also identified among the slain. The Houthis reported the attack was carried out by one of the nation's few remaining Tachka missiles and reported causing many losses in lives and military equipment, claiming to have destroyed Apache helicopters in the strike. This is the second Tachka missile used in the war, with a previous strike against the Emirati base in Marib province back in September, an attack which killed 45 soldiers. These stand as the two deadliest strikes against combatants during the war, though there have been several incidents where scores of civilians were slain. Yemen was believed to have around 10 Tachka missiles at the start of the war. It is unclear how many remain, as many early attacks targeted bases believed to hold Yemen's missile arsenals. Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? Then you need Spend-A-Bit in your arsenal, the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spend-A-Bit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Visit spendabit.co today. Bitcoin merchants, ask about our merchant suite to reach even more customers. Spendabit.co. UPI reports civilians operating most types of recreational drones must register the devices by February 19th under new rules announced by the Federal Aviation Administration on Monday. Owners of small unmanned aircraft weighing between 0.55 and 55 pounds and suitable for onboard cameras and other recreational uses, according to the FAA, must register with the FAA starting December 21st, either through a paper process or online. The FAA is waiving a $5 registration fee for the first 30 days from December 21st to January 20th to encourage quick registration. Anthony Fox, the Secretary of Transportation, said in a statement, "Make no mistake, unmanned aircraft enthusiasts are aviators, and with that title comes a great deal of responsibility. The registration process involves providing the FAA with the drone owner's name, home address, and an email address. Registrants must be over 13 years old, and the FAA will provide an identification number to be displayed on the aircraft." For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports a federal judge on Monday ruled that Chicago police used excessive force on a man who died after he was dragged by handcuffs out of his cell and down a hallway 3 years ago. The ruling came as Chicago police and Mayor Rahm Emanuel face intense scrutiny over the police department's use of force. Protesters have called for Emanuel's resignation since last month's release of a video showing a police officer shooting a teenager to death. In the separate case of the man dragged by handcuffs, Officer Keith Kirkland and Supervising Officer Sergeant Tommy Walker are liable in their treatment of Philip Coleman, who later died at a hospital, according to court documents. Coleman was arrested for domestic battery on December 12, 2012. After he refused to go to court the next morning, several officers went into his cell where he was tasered. Court records showed that Kirkland handcuffed, shackled, and dragged the motionless Coleman by the handcuffs. The tasering and dragging were caught on video cameras, but there is no accompanying audio, according to court documents. The Coleman video was released to the public last week. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Federal authorities are currently on high alert in Washington, D.C., following reports that hundreds of crazed sociopaths infiltrated the congressional chambers this morning. Mary Canley, a Capitol employee who managed to escape the House chambers, described the troubling scene to reporters.
I saw all of them. About 400 to 500 completely deranged people just rambling on about guns, the military, and money.
Investigators say the lunatics, many of whom are believed to suffer from severe personality disorders, have locked themselves in the chambers for hours now, with no clear purpose or reasoning.
I looked at one of them right in the eyes, and it was like he was empty on the inside, devoid of any emotion or feeling. It was horrifying. It's only a matter of time before they do something that really hurts someone.
We believe these men to be manipulative and extremely dangerous. Luckily, they are also very disorganized, and there is a chance they may never be able to ever take any action at all. For more on this developing story, keep checking theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us here. We'll give you our toll-free numbers, the Skype username, and you can bring up what you want. That is the point of the show. Of course, we also bring stuff to the table to talk about here tonight. And there was, I think it was like last week, there was a story Mark had brought in. He's at a fireman's meeting tonight, so he won't be joining us. But it's Ian with you.
And Conan.
The story that Mark brought in was a poll that had to do with the millennials and let's see. Well, there was actually a couple stories we'd done about millennials. One was a poll about millennials, like 40% of them not being in favor of freedom of speech. That was disturbing. And then also that millennials are like the most useless of all of the generations so far.
They don't have any training. A lot of them are getting out of school. They can't even read. They have no interests or hobbies unless you know.
That can't be true. They don't have interests or hobbies. I didn't hear that detail.
Like collecting vinyl. I don't. They're very nihilistic and.
Well, I haven't seen that story, but the story that Mark had was comparing academics, comparing their results on testing from this country to other countries. So comparing our millennials to other millennials, if you will, and that's where they were failing. They were like the bottom of the pack when compared to other developed nations' educations. So you're saying they don't have hobbies? Was there a study on that? How can that be? How can you not have a hobby?
Because I have a 19-year-old, and I've seen her friends, and it's just
so this is a case study. This is your observation.
This is my opinion of and what I've seen over the past decade.
But wait, how can you not have a hobby? I mean, I guess if you're working all the time or something, like nonstop workaholic, I suppose that could be someone who doesn't have a hobby, but
maybe a more adventurous, outgoing. They're not very outgoing. They're not very adventurous. They're not. They don't seem to be interested in new developments. Going out there and being scientific about anything. I mean, it seems like they're okay with sticking to their cell phones, and they're getting their ego out there on their social media, whether it be Facebook or whatnot. And so they're enclosed, or they're shut-ins.
Meaning, okay, so she's not a sports person then. She's not going out and like doing. She doesn't have the new hoverboard, for instance. Is
not yet. Maybe when they're affordable, because that does seem to be a very millennial thing to do. To grab the hoverboards that their parents were tempted with. I think they range from $200 all the way up to probably $2,000-ish.
Wow.
So there's some very expensive ones out there. I know that they've been blowing up or burning up. The batteries in them have been catching on fire and burning people's houses down.
Oof! Look out for that one.
We'll wait for them, and this is of course going to lead to some kind of regulation to protect us from our hoverboards.
You have your hoverboard license.
Yeah.
So now you've got news coming in from Reason, which is actually a little bit of good news about the millennials, maybe, right?
Well, according to this is by Nick Gillespie. Excuse me. The big headlines coming out of a new Harvard Institute of Politics poll of millennial voters ages 18 to 29, and I believe, what year were you born in?
80.
Yeah, you just missed it. as far as being a millennial. You might be a millennial.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to really say exactly when those things cut off, right?
Yeah.
Things get fuzzy once you get to that range of like 1980 to 1984.
I know I told a young lady that we both know that she says, I'm not a millennial.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, when were you born? Like, yeah, according to these numbers, you are most definitely a millennial. And she got very upset.
Uh-oh.
But so 18 to 29, so about 1980s and up.
Mm.
And so have been that almost half believe the American dream is dead. Just 17% think the country is heading in the right direction versus 44% who think it's going south, and another 37% who aren't sure. Those sorts of findings paint a picture of disillusioned, despondent group, but they only scratch the surface of the poll's genuinely comprehensive and interesting look at the millennials. There's actually a lot of positive news in the findings, especially from a libertarian perspective. 25% classify themselves as politically independent, not leaning towards either Republican or Democrats, and only 9% consider themselves strong Republican and 17% strong Democrat.
Now, I would presume that this poll is comparing at some point. Now, was it Pew? I missed the polling company.
Harvard Institute Politics.
I wonder, did they also ask the questions of non-millennials, meaning that, okay, 25% of millennials are independent. How does that compare to Gen X? How does that compare to the baby boomers?
Mm-hmm.
Without the point of comparison, it's hard to really, that's a surprising number. I'm not sure if I should be surprised by that.
I'm not surprised by this because I know that Gen Xers have been following this route for some time.
Okay.
And I'm not sure about the baby boomers. They might be just happy-go-lucky, and they could care less or couldn't care less because they're going to die soon. I mean, what do they have to lose?
All right.
But I don't know. But I know that my generation, they've been going down this road for a good long time now, and more people are coming disillusioned.
So not a surprise then.
Not a surprise to me at all.
All right.
For all the talk about politics, political correctness, and continuing racism on campuses, 51% agreed with the statement, I feel comfortable sharing my political opinion at my college without fear of censorship or negative repercussions.
I think it's worth pointing out, when you first brought this up, you said this was a poll of voters. Was it likely voters or registered voters that they polled?
Did I say voters? I thought it was just college students.
I could have sworn the word voters came out of your mouth. If you don't mind, check that again, because if it's only registered voters or likely voters, then that's a real different skew on the millennials, right? Because then you're taking a segment of the millennials and you're looking at them.
Definitely millennial voters.
So voters, okay, likely voters would be my guess.
But I mean,
they're the more politically active of the millennials.
Yeah, but all you got to do is have a band and have one of these live vote or die groups set up, front of the band.
That stuff doesn't work anymore, from what I hear. Like the Rock the Vote, MTV's Rock the Vote campaign.
Mm-hmm.
I think they shut that down
because it just wasn't. It was probably having negative effect.
I'll see if I can find that for you, Conan, because I'm almost certain I saw a story about Rock the Vote being like a completely defunct program.
I remember. All right, so I was in community college back in 03, 04, and I remember a student was just walking around the campus, registering voters right on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know who that person. Oh, she was definitely a Democrat, but I don't know what group she was affiliated with. So I know that that was 10 years ago. Well, a decade ago. I don't know what the campuses look like these days.
All right, Rock the Vote's still around. Huffington Post has a story. Rock the Vote still hip, still needed after 25 years. So I guess they're still doing it. Whether MTV is promoting it often or not, I don't know about that.
So 51% agreed with the statement, I feel comfortable sharing my political opinions on the campus without fear of censorship or negative repercussions. Just 14% disagreed, suggesting that campuses are neither the hotbeds of repression or racism that various people seem to believe. And yeah, we've been hearing a lot of these snotty little kids coming out, and like the one, was it Yale, where the girl got, not a girl, a whole group got upset about
they were yelling at the administrator.
Well, the Halloween some Halloween costumes were being forbidden or suggested forbidden, and the the professor came out and says, "Hey, look, this is you people are being stupid. I mean, this is not what free speech is about. I mean, you need to protect free speech." And you guys need to, settle down.
That was one of the stories. There have been several of these stories. Reason, actually, which is where I think you're getting this piece from. Reason did a TV piece where they went to one college and they interviewed several students about their opinions on the idea of so-called microaggressions. We played some of that audio on the air. I think it was on Saturday night. And it definitely didn't look good, I mean, from the people they talked to, but it may just simply be one of those things where it's only really some colleges that have this real hardcore politically correct aspect, and they're the ones making the headlines, whereas most of them are just not really worth talking about because there's nothing happening there. There's no real active campaign of oppression or suppression of ideas or freedom of speech. So it could be one of those things where it's newsworthy and it's making news because it's unusual. 855-450-FREE. That's our toll-free number if you are a millennial or you've got comments about them. Our toll-free number, 855-450-3733. I presume Conan has more observations from this Harvard study of voting millennials. It's Free Talk Live.
Molly's been having 4 scoops a day, and she has slimmed down and gotten this puppy look. Her coat has sheen. You can't believe it. Her breath is better. She's just perkier. It's just so totally amazing. She's a gorgeous Springer Spaniel. She's 12 and a half years old. The last 2-3 years, she was really becoming very old, very slow, was very sad.
And I thought, this is it.
I was driving along one day, and I heard this person raving about Dinovite. Dinovite.com. DINOVITE.com.
859-428-1000. She's got life. She's got energy. She's got stuff to give.
She loves it. She chomps at every last single crumb.
These ingredients are natural. The flax and the yeast cultures and the grains.
The digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
We're on our 3rd order now. We just want everybody to know about Dinovite.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
Did you know that home break-ins increase more than 100% during the holidays? It takes just 10 seconds for an intruder to kick in your door, but police response to a home alarm system is more than 20 minutes, and intruders are in and out of your home in 5 minutes. Thieves know that you're not home and have presents inside just waiting to be taken. And if you are home, how safe will you feel with an intruder lurking inside with your family? That's why police across the country are recommending you use door armor. Proven to withstand the force of a battering ram, door armor keeps intruders out. It's easy to install and barely visible, and your door armor is guaranteed for life. Go to InvasionStopper.com for a very special buy one, get one at half-off deal. These savings are for a limited time and only available to GCN listeners. Protect your valuables and loved ones this holiday season. Go to InvasionStopper.com now. That's InvasionStopper.com.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
There comes a time when you need custom embroidered or screen printed apparel for your business, organization, or a special event. Corporate Casuals has been helping people create great looking logoed apparel for over 25 years. They can produce a single piece or thousands using name brand apparel like Nike, Patagonia, Adidas, and Hanes. Create your logo in their online embroidery design studio or upload your existing logo and they'll turn it into embroidery. Go to corporatecasuals.com/FTL and include FTL in the order notes and save 5% on your order.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Joining you in the studio, it's Ian here.
And Conan.
Also, there's the New Hampshire Liberty Forum, which is coming up February 18th through the 21st, I believe, if I'm recalling correctly. Maybe it's the 22nd. I don't have the details in front of me, but it's going to be a great weekend here in New Hampshire. It's happening in late February, and so right in the heart of wintertime, you can come join us being hundreds of liberty-minded people who will be in the same hotel, the Manchester Radisson Hotel, right in the heart of downtown Manchester, for some great speeches and panel discussions, but also the community. Really, that's the reason to come to the Liberty Forum, to see if it's all for real. This whole Free State Project thing, where there's supposedly, thousands of people who are going to move to New Hampshire. A couple thousand already have, close to 2,000 already have. And they've done some amazing things. They've had some amazing success stories. We've cataloged a lot of it here on Free Talk Live. But is it for real? Are these people actually as great as we say they are? And I think you'll find they are. So come on out and see it for yourself. NHLibertyForum.com is where you can go to get your tickets, learn more about the event. Oh, and by the way, Edward Snowden is going to be one of the keynote speakers at said event. So I don't think he does too much keynote speaking. This is a pretty rare appearance for Edward Snowden. Every now and then he'll grant an interview to, somebody somewhere, and he has appeared at certain events, but this is pretty special, and I'm excited to see that happen. So, Edward Snowden and many more speakers that have yet to be announced. We're about 2 months out from the event at this point. Starts on February 18th, goes through the entire weekend there, a Thursday through a Sunday. NHLibertyForum.com. By the way, New Hampshire just announced as number 1 in the new Fraser Institute study, the FreeTheWorld.com study on economic freedom in North America, the number 1 most economically free state of all of the 50 states.
Mm-hmm.
So, huge news.
And we still have lots of work to do.
It's a project.
It's a project. If you've ever listened to me, I'm always complaining about the property tax here in New Hampshire. It's something that really bugs me. Taxes in general, but the property tax especially. But
thankfully, there's no income tax,
right?
Or sales tax,
right? And there's and a lot of the other little hidden taxes that they throw in there. I mean, they're there, but like the restaurant tax or something.
Yeah, that's a bad one.
Our food preparation.
Right,
which is just
9%.
Right,
worse than Massachusetts.
Completely ridiculous.
So yeah, we got some work to do, but I think we're going to get there because we've got really great dedicated activists who've already made the move as part of the Free State Project. Conan, you and I are 2 of over 1,500 people who have already moved here as early movers. We're trying to get to 20,000 who will come here once that 20,000 number is reached, and we're closing in on 18,000, which will put us at, I think, about 90% of the goal, which is awesome.
Yeah, we need more families. We need more people bringing their businesses with them, more lawyers,
If you care about freedom, we need you. So go to freestateproject.org and join us for the Liberty Forum in 2 months at NHLibertyForum.com. Conan, you have a story from Reason magazine, and they're talking about the millennials. Some good news about American millennials, although specifically we are talking about millennials who are voters. And I guess you could argue, I'm sure there's some agorist types out there that would not argue this, but I guess you could argue that the millennial voters are the more important of the millennials. You think that's true?
I would say so. As far as the political landscape is concerned.
Right.
But how many millennial voters are? What's their population like? What's their count compared to 20 years ago? I mean, I would say that if they're so disillusioned, I would also guess that there are a lot less voters, younger voters than there were 20 years ago. If in fact they are so disillusioned. And
so what about the ones who aren't registered voters? What do they think? How libertarian are they? Are the millennials who are not voters? I think it's safe to presume the majority of millennials are not voters. I mean, anybody who's ever stood outside of a polling location for
I think it's always been the case that younger people are not voting. And by the way, they are getting stuck the most. It's the old people, the old voters who are getting all the There's a reason why the old guys are getting all the benefits.
They're voting for it.
They're the ones voting for it.
Right.
But I mean, in this one big scam that is unraveling is the educational debt in this country. And yes, millennials are directly affected by that. And I think it's over $1 trillion in student debt in this country. This year it surpassed credit card debt. It's a huge scam, and you've got kids coming straight out of college with their liberal arts degree who can't get a job anywhere, and they're going right back to live with mommy and daddy. So I mean, maybe there are an equal amount of voters, millennial voters or younger voters, as there was Gen X 20 years ago voters?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know about that. I suspect, if I'm going to jump to a conclusion, I would presume the numbers are similar there. But what you're revealing here is the poll that was done by Harvard is suggesting that millennial voters are more likely to lean libertarian. Not in a majority or anything like that.
Well, here's some of the questions they asked. Here's one. Do you agree or disagree with the following statements? For the problems facing America today, government is not the solution to our problem. Our government is the problem.
Isn't that an old Reagan quote?
Yeah, it exactly is. And by the way, before we get to the numbers, you have started your own poll here in Keene, usually outside voting. The voting.
The exit poll. Yeah,
it's a real simple question, and you really can't get away without answering. Most people don't get. When I did it, I would kind of walk after people sometimes. It's so easy.
It's a good question.
It's a second. Government, too big, too small, just right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And
most people actually, not most people. I'd say most people probably walk by or don't answer. Well, a plurality walk by or don't answer. But of those who answer, most people say it's too big.
Yeah. Well, the answers that I was getting was federal government too big, but they were most were happy with local government. And but there is a big difference.
They must not pay property taxes.
No, I think there's a reason why you do this outside the voting polls, because they're all registered voters and probably property owners.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you that.
So, anyways, solution to our problems: government, or is government the problem? So,
and you said 44%,
50% agree. 21%, and of those numbers, 21% strongly agree, and 29% somewhat agree.
Okay.
32% neutral, and only
they could be swayed,
and only 16% disagree.
Huh.
So, and 3% decline to answer. So, I would say those are 50% agree that government is the problem. I would say that's a pretty good start.
Well, one of the problems with these questions, though, is unless it's crystal clear, you can interpret things differently, right? So someone who loves the government might think government's the problem because it's not made in the way they want it to, right? Bernie Sanders isn't in charge, so the government's a problem right now because those Republicans are in charge.
Because they're not, because the government's not regulating businesses enough. So government is the problem, and government needs more power in order to enforce regulatory laws on big business. Of course, you and I both know that's ridiculous because big business, big corp, is using government to get their agenda through, and increasing the size of government it's not going to help at all.
Toll-free number tonight, if you want to join us here, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We'll find out some more of the questions here, and you can share your thoughts. It's Free Talk Live.
Are you looking to sell body armor? Want to make extra money selling body armor at your local gun shows? With low minimum buys and great returns, Katie Armor is the answer. Make money in your spare time. It's American-made body armor with the quickest turnaround in the industry, which means you get your product when you need it at very competitive rates. And they'll ship it to you for free. If you own a business, give them a call today at 855-488-KATIE. That's 855-488-2284. Or go to katiearmor.com. Come and take it.
By now you know that wireless technology like cell phones do in fact pose dangers to the health and privacy of everyone. Blockit Pocket's wide range of products are unmatched in providing the protection you deserve. No scare tactics, just common sense. BlockitPocket.com offers quality American-made options to alleviate and eliminate these invisible dangers. Learn more at BlockitPocket.com or call 888-315-9618. BlockitPocket.com, enhancing health and privacy.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit did your nerves spike. You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
Cryptocurrency and peer-to-peer tech developments happen fast. Stay in the loop with the Daily Decrypt, a new video channel and podcast that will keep you on top of the latest innovations in crypto finance, security, networking, transportation, and gadgetry like drones and 3D printers. Subscribe to the Daily Decrypt on YouTube and SoundCloud and be an early adopter of the future. The Daily Decrypt.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Coming up here tonight, top White House drug official says the war on drugs is a failure, which is a shocking headline. We'll share more about that with you. With you here tonight, you've got Ian.
And Conan.
And we are discussing an interesting story about millennials. This one is about their voting habits, their interest in government, their thoughts on the state. Are they more libertarian than previous generations? You know, when you look at all the Bernie Sanders fanatics in the young area, the millennial zone, you start to think maybe they're not really that libertarian at all. Maybe they just want somebody who's going to end the war on drugs. And I don't know if Bernie's going to end the war on drugs, but he certainly seems good on the marijuana issue, and that's about it.
And pay off their student debt.
Oh yeah, there's that one too.
And it's always easy to hate rich people, and that's your businesses. And
millennials are more likely to be
1%.
poor, right? Because they haven't had a chance to earn anything in their life.
And this is what they're being fed. This is academia all throughout. It's they're the little guy, and they're educated, so they know better. And so let's save the polar bear and screw the rich guy, tax him 99%, and he'll pay for the fixing the polar bear's melting iceberg.
But one of the first questions that you shared with us from this Harvard study was saying that about 50% of the millennials agreed with the old Ronald Reagan statement that government is the problem.
Correct. Only 32% were neutral and 16% disagreed. The question is, what mindset were they coming from when they heard that? They might think that like I said earlier, government's not doing enough to regulate the people who are hurting.
Or to redistribute wealth or whatever. We'll get into more of it here. I'm sure there's more that you want to share. But first, let's go to Doug. He's in Illinois. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Conan. Go ahead, Doug. Do we have Doug in
about
Illinois?
How people have an issue with the government and with the poll that have been taking that, one of you made the remark that more people would have an issue with the federal government than the local government. I do not agree with that remark at all.
Well, that's because you live in Illinois.
I live in Illinois. I live in a town where I have a home valued at about $150,000, and I pay a $5,900 property bill.
Woo!
Actually, the other week they voted again. It will be like the 8th year in a row to up the property bill.
And what other kind of taxes do you have there?
To Illinois on our internet. We pay a fee to Illinois and the town on our telephone. We pay a fee to Illinois and the town on our electric bill, on our NICOR bill, on everything. And the local government, they are equally out of control like the federal government.
Yeah, no, I heard you, man. I mean, there's a world of difference between New Hampshire and Illinois.
Well, these are the poll question was asked to people here who live here in Keene, and I hate federal government more than local government, but they're all in the same boat as far as I'm concerned. They're
all too big.
They're all too big.
Yeah.
And they need to be stripped down, and they shouldn't be making decisions as far as local is concerned. They shouldn't be making decisions on whether we need an ice rink or not.
Which is a recent boondoggle here in Keene.
Or giving money to the soup kitchen.
Right. I mean, if people want an ice rink, build the damn ice rink on their own. Get the funding. And I realize some of it was funded independently. This is one of the, like I said,
a lot of it was funded independently, but the building is owned by the city.
It's the same building as the police department.
Instead of selling that portion of the building, selling it off, and getting that out of city hands, they're going to hold on to it, and they're going to.
The city has a lot of property.
That's right.
10% of the city is.
Daryl has done the math, and they own quite a lot of city. And usually, when it comes to government owning, it's usually swamp beds, desert, just forests that no one is really occupied with. But here in Keene, there's not a whole lot of that. So I mean, there's actually buildings. Like I think a whole section of downtown is owned by the city.
Yep.
Why?
That
shouldn't be their responsibility. Get that out of your hands. Sell it to the people. Let the people manage it.
That makes sense to me, Conan. I don't know if anyone in politics has ever even broached that particular subject.
No, once they get their hands on something like this, they're all good to keep it forever because that's more power.
It's revenue to the city.
It's revenue for them. They can rent it out to someone, and it gives them something to do. I mean, some of these people they just need to. They wouldn't have so much to do if they were to relinquish some of the duties that government has taken over.
So you were talking about this study that Harvard did about millennials, and I want to get back into that. It's millennial voters, although I do find myself wondering what percentage of millennials are, number one, registered to vote, and of those who are registered to vote, who are actually voting. Like, I suspect there's a good amount of them, if they're registered to vote, they actually do vote. But man, I've stood out in front of polling locations here in Keene, New Hampshire, on multiple occasions, over a decade now, almost a decade. And you hardly ever see someone under the age of 30. Hardly ever see that happen.
This is true.
General election, primary election, During the big one, during like the presidential election, you're more likely to see them. They're more likely to get all stirred up by one national candidate or another. But even there, it's pretty light on the millennial turnout at these elections. All that said, it is certainly true that people become more politically interested as they get older. And so if the statistics hold or get better, for instance, as they get older here, the initial numbers you've given us are that there's a fair amount of belief that the government is the problem amongst millennials. Presumably, if they believe that today, perhaps they will continue to believe it in a decade or 2 decades. Perhaps they'll believe it more firmly in a decade or two. Maybe some of those, there was like a 30-something% that was like, I don't know. They were neutral on the question. Maybe those people will shift towards not being such a fan of the government over, after a decade of being regulated by them.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're in school, you don't really know about the government, unless you've had some sort of run-in with the police or you're the rare millennial that's actually tried to start your own business, which probably there aren't too many of them. Then you really don't know what the government's all about until you have your first real experience of being told what to do by them, of being, basically you discover that you're owned, and that can be a real shock to the system. Because if all you do is you just go to school every day and then you do your homework and take some tests and then you drink with your friends on the weekends or whatever.
And you go through 4 years of college or however long it takes you, and then you go right back to live with your parents.
Yeah.
So now
you're insulated.
So now it's not even out of high school. Now you're 26, 27-year-old, and you still don't know what's up. You're not paying any of the bills. You're being taken care of and sheltered by your parents.
So when someone like Bernie Sanders comes along and says, "Hey kids, I'll take care of your college debt," it's understandable that they would fall in line with that. Like, I wouldn't mind losing $100,000.
Who doesn't like free things? And that, by the way, is the worst. That word, free things. Because there is.
I took the government money for college.
There is no such thing.
I had a scholarship from the state of Florida to go to college.
People just see it going into their pockets and their wallets, but they never ever look a little further on and see where it's coming from. And in this case,
in my case, I had been paying taxes for several years.
Yeah, well, in this case, this going right onto the federal credit card, and who's going to be paying for that if if that debt is not erased? It's going to the kids. It's going to my kids. It's going to my daughter's kids. They're going to be paying for it because it's not. We're not really paying for it yet.
I read an interesting piece that we never really got to on the air about Texas secession, and maybe we should talk about that. But one of the claims by the anti-secessionists was that, if Texas secedes, all the population will still owe the federal government their portion of the federal debt. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Who really believes that? It was, I got to say, it was an original objection. I'd never heard that objection to seceding before, is that, you can leave, but you'll still owe, whatever, tens of thousands of dollars each person owes supposedly into the federal debt. I don't believe I owe that money.
Yeah,
I didn't sign anything for that money.
Right,
I didn't get that money.
That would be one of the main reasons why I would want to secede. So to get away from that debt.
Absolutely.
And maybe when the almighty dollar does crash, the economy takes a nosedive. More states will say, hey, you know what? We don't want any part of this.
They should protect themselves with Bitcoin.
You can keep your stupid debt. We're going to stand over here and watch you guys burn because we're going to do all right in New Hampshire. We're going to do pretty fine, I believe.
In New Hampshire, the most economically free place, according to freetheworld.com. Conan, you've got more from the study, yes?
Correct.
We'll share that with you, and you can share your thoughts with us. 855-450-FREE. It's Free Talk Live.
Remember when people used to wash stuff by hand, like clothes and dishes? Or how about this one? Remember when you had to wash your CPAP system by hand? Wait, you still wash your CPAP by hand? Boy, have we got to catch you up. Listen, SoClean.com has created the world's first and only automated CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. It's faster, more sanitary, and a heck of a lot easier than whatever you're doing. And for a limited time, you can try it at home risk-free for 30 days. You better get on this. Just call 1-800-951-9458. SoClean is completely automated and hands-free. It destroys 99.9% of all CPAP germs. Clean your CPAP system in minutes with no water or hassle. Talk about life-changing. Now, remember when you called for your in-home trial from SoClean.com? Wait, you still haven't called? Here's the number again. It's a limited time offer, so don't wait. Call 1-800-951-9458. 1-800-951-9458.
My name is Bill Bonner, and I have an important message. Right now, the highest levels of government are struggling against an inevitable crisis, but they're about to lose control. When this happens, it will rip our country apart in ways you never imagined. From where we shop to the family you want to protect. Look, I've made predictions like this before. A few years ago, I warned that the housing prices would collapse. Before that, I warned that .com companies would crash, and they did. Those who listened had a chance to save themselves. But this has nothing to do with the stock market. This will affect us all. I've posted a free video at disappearingwealth.com. Maybe you'll disagree with my conclusions, but first you need to watch this video and see the facts for yourself. You can watch the video for free right now by going to disappearingwealth.com. Again, that's disappearingwealth.com.
Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a longtime supporter of antiwar.com. This past November, Roberts & Roberts donated all the profits of their precious metal sales from Armistice Day and Bitcoin Black Friday to antiwar.com. Well, that wasn't enough, and they're doing it again. From now until December 23rd, use coupon code PEACEONEARTH, all one word, and every dollar over the wholesale cost from all products from that purchase will go to antiwar.com. Randolph Bourne said, "War is the health of the state, and Roberts & Roberts believes that banks are its sustenance. Banks drive war. Why use their money? By investing in gold, silver, and Bitcoin, you are exiting the corrupt system that enables war. Use coupon code PEACEONEARTH when you shop online at rrbi.co now through December 23rd and help support antiwar.com and the cause of peace this holiday season. Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Incorporated, rrbi.co. That's rrbi.co. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the new Healing Our World is a great gift this Christmas for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
You've got Free Talk Live, and you can join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Also, you may Skype the show at Skype username LRN.FM. We're talking a lot about millennials over the last few weeks here on Free Talk Live, and, well, that's because the children are the future. And you know,
this is true. This is true. We're not going to live forever.
It's important to know these things.
Someone's got to take care of us when we're old dudes.
Now, how old are you, Conan?
I was born in 79, so I believe that makes me about 36.
So you're right on the tail end of Gen X, just like I am. It could be argued I'm in the middle between both Gen X and millennials.
I identify with the Xers, and not
at all. We grew up in the 90s, so that's why.
Nirvana and the grunge era, and
I was
skaters and
an article
goth.
Someone posted that was about people in the middle ground. And like one of the things that we share kind of thing. And one of the things that they said was that you grew up listening to Nirvana, but you were too young to see them like your parents wouldn't let you go see them in concert.
Yeah, and actually that was me. I didn't like that one, by the way. I think it was one of the BuzzFeed. These are 10 reasons.
Oh
you're
yeah,
this.
yeah. You've seen that one, okay?
But I did agree with that one because I did listen to Nirvana. Actually, take that back. Nope, I didn't I've never heard Nirvana until actually after Kurt Cobain
killed himself.
Or I'm sorry, Courtney Love killed him.
Oh, you believe that?
Oh, well, no, I think she had him killed. I think the dude,
really?
the heroin dude that was living with him did it. It was his shotgun.
Oh man,
it was registered under his name. Yeah, there's lots of reasons. There's a good one on Netflix right now. Very good.
There's a conspiracy theory about
it's
Kurt
good.
Okay.
It's got the main investigator who started working for Love.
Yeah.
And he was just supposed
like
to go find the body
or something.
And it got to the point where he was so disenchanted with her, he started investigating her. And of course, he kept all of the audio recordings, and so
of her talking to him,
of her talking on the phone and all, and just how skeezy and conspiratorial the whole episode was. So it's very convincing, and she had a lot of reasons to take him out. She was about to get divorced, and Kurt had a lot of money, and now Courtney has all that money. So I mean, there's a lot of reasons to have gone through with it, and yeah. I like a good conspiracy. You know that.
Oh yeah, you do. All right, well, let's go on here. More from the Harvard study, as cited by Reason.com, on millennials and voting.
Mm-hmm. So 50 agree that government is the problem, and we've been alluding to why. What does that actually mean?
50% of voters, by the way. 50% of
millennial voters. Correct. There's not a huge amount of super tight philosophical consistency throughout the results because hey, government is the problem. But at the same time, large numbers of millennials want more government spending on, well, things that are going their way, like education, healthcare, etc. So, as we have talked on, the show before, there's a lot of reasons to suspect that they don't really know what they're talking about.
The millennials.
Yeah, because I mean, because they do want bigger spending, but they just so they'll come out in they'll in one sentence say government's the problem, and hey, but I need someone to take care of my college debt.
Mm-hmm.
More spending, more government control. So it's coming out one ear, going in the other. I mean, there's no telling what these kids are. There's a reason why. I'm glad that younger people don't vote as often.
Of course, the older people, a lot of them are voting for more government too. So
this is true, and we're going down
This is why the Free State Project is so important, to get people who understand that freedom is the answer. Not that government is the problem, but that freedom is the answer. I mean, I think government's the problem, but again, it's all about how you interpret that statement. Who is government? It's
at the end of the day, it's the people. And they can put their foot down and say, yeah, no, it
ain't us. That's for sure.
It's not the minority.
Yeah.
And I don't believe it's the majority either. It's the people who vote. It's the people who vote. And as we know here, and especially in like the school issues, it's such a small fraction of the population actually vote for these stupid budget increases every year.
It's the school board people. I mean, it's the school bureaucrats and their families that come out and vote for this stuff. And that's until people actually do something to change the system, then I don't think that we're going to see smaller government in our lifetime unless people actually stand up. And I understand there's a bunch of like non-voting types out there that are angry at me for saying that. Look, I'm not saying voting is the solution to all of our problems. That would be a ridiculous thing to say. But certainly coming to the conclusion that freedom is the answer, that allowing other people to be free is the way to go, and then doing everything you can to implement that around you, including voting, is the way to do that.
Or voting someone like Trump or Bernie Sanders into office is somehow going to change this path that we're going down.
You talking about libertarians supporting Trump and Sanders?
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about the general population, but yeah, isn't it crazy how many supposed libertarians, are coming out and they're defending these two knuckleheads?
Yeah, it is crazy.
These two authoritarians that are not even near. They're nowhere near the libertarian principles. They're so off the wall that it really baffles me that people are defending these people.
I think that there's a certain brand of libertarian who is like, I don't know if there's a term for it or whatever, but doomsday libertarian or make it worse kind of libertarian.
Get to the bottom of it. Let's get to the end of this hallway.
That's what they want.
Scenario.
They want to elect somebody. Their idea is elect Donald Trump or Bernie Sanders, so the state will spiral down quicker.
So we can have a Hitler or a Stalin.
The idea being, and I understand the idea being that if you've got a Hitler or a Stalin, then more people will be hurt by the government, and
more people will wake up
more
to
people will become
reality.
libertarians.
More people will start taking that red pill.
I mean, it's definitely true that the most, I think, eye-opening thing that can happen to someone when it comes to learning about what government truly is, which is, of course, an agency that has a monopoly on force, your neighbors who are using the threat of violence against you to extract your money and your...
To pay for their kids to go to middle school or whatever, or to pick the leaves up.
When people come to those conclusions, they usually don't go back from those conclusions. Every now and then they will. But for the most part, once you hit that paradigm, you've had your paradigm shift and you're well within the camp, you understand that this is a violent agency that won't hesitate to hurt you and your family in order to get what they want. And so the idea from some of those people that are supporting Trump or Sanders, not all of them, but the idea from some of the libertarians supporting them is, well, this will hasten the decline of the state. This will hasten the end of the American nightmare that is the U.S. federal government. I don't see it that way. I mean, I don't see Trump as that much worse from any of the other Republicans. I think Trump's more honest than any of the other Republicans.
I think that is the big difference of Bernie and Trump, that they are the most honest, and I think people can really relate to that, and I think they find it refreshing.
Yeah, you're right. I think they can pick up on that too, right? Like they know that something's different about this guy. I mean, look, I'm not going to vote for any of these cats when it comes to the presidential primary. I'll vote for Vermin Supreme. He's a great protest candidate, and he's a lot of fun. But when it comes to Trump and Sanders, you got to give them credit for those things. For at least, and the same thing was true with Ron Paul and what was it, Kucinich, right? Kucinich a few years back, he was sort of on board with Ron. He was like the Democratic version of Ron Paul, where he was
a little elf man.
He was straight up with you, at least about what he believed. At least that's the impression that I got from him. Whereas, the rest of these candidates are acting all shocked about Donald Trump. And I'm talking about across the board, not just the Republicans, but the Democrats as well.
They're shocked that he's getting so much attention and that he probably would do well if he did not win the Republican primary. You
mean if he ran as a third party?
He would probably run as a third party.
There are a lot of questions about, what Trump's going to do, and right now he appears to be leading in the polls.
If, by the way, they don't have him put out to pasture.
What, you mean killed?
Oh, yeah. He's not the establishment choice, man.
Oh, wait a minute, Conan.
He's gonna ruffle too many feathers, man.
They didn't kill Ron Paul
because he didn't have a chance.
Okay, I see where you're coming from.
What did he get? Like less than?
But why are they going to kill Donald Trump? It's not like he's going to dismantle the state. He's not going to stop the corporate deals or anything like that.
Right. He's a defendant of the Patriot Act, and he came on the other day talking about how internet needs more regulation and these
he wants to shut it down.
These free speech people, they need to be.
He said if you support free speech, oh God, what was the insult that he used? He was talking about the.
He said they're crazy. The people who are always talking about free speech, this and that, they're crazy.
That's essentially what he said. He used a different word, but the
internet needs to be regulated so that they.
And he's going to call Bill Gates
so that ISIS doesn't use it as a recruit tool.
Foolish people. That's what he said.
Yeah.
He said it over and over again. He said these people are going to say freedom of speech. These are foolish people. They're foolish people, and he kept repeating that they were foolish people. 855-450-FREE is our toll-free number. Whether it's Trump, the Millenials, we still have more. We've been all over the place on this. We'll come back to it. Also, is it true the top drug official in the United States has gone on television proclaiming the war on drugs a failure?
Mm-hmm.
Shocking if it's true. We'll tell you more about it. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We also have Skype. Skype in here at username LRN.FM. It's free talk live. As a pioneer of the e-commerce movement, Overstock.com is proud to be the first major retailer to accept Bitcoin. Overstock was the first because Patrick Byrne, Overstock's CEO and founder, firmly believes in personal freedom and cryptocurrency. Over the past 16 years, Overstock has furnished over 18 million homes with a diverse line of products to suit everyone's unique styles and preferences. Support Overstock and freedom of choice while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more.
Are your kids spending too much time online? Are they gaming instead of doing homework? Are they on Facebook instead of sleeping? Turn their internet access on or off when you want for free at webcurfew.com. 100% web-based interface means nothing to download, install, or configure. Web Curfew is free and controls any device using your home network without slowing down your internet. Block all adult web content with a click of a button. Don't let the internet raise your kids. Take back control of how and when your home internet is used for free. Visit webcurfew.com.
Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof form of money to the people, where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom and the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene and the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, December 15th, 2015. Silver is trading at $13.71 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,064 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $452. Antiwar.com reports in what appears to be the single deadliest strike of the 9-month Saudi war in Yemen, forces loyal to the Shiite Houthis fired an OTR-21 Tachka tactical ballistic missile at a pro-Saudi coalition base near Taiz, with early reports putting the death toll around 152 troops. The identities of all the slain are still being sorted out, but dozens of foreign troops are among the slain, including Saudi Special Forces Commander Colonel Abdullah Sayyan. Emirati and Moroccan soldiers were also identified among the slain. The Houthis reported the attack was carried out by one of the nation's few remaining Tachka missiles and reported causing many losses in lives and military equipment, claiming to have destroyed Apache helicopters in the strike. This is the second Tachka missile used in the war, with a previous strike against the Emirati base in Marib province back in September, an attack which killed 45 soldiers. These stand as the two deadliest strikes against combatants during the war, though there have been several incidents where scores of civilians were slain. Yemen was believed to have around 10 Tachka missiles at the start of the war. It is unclear how many remain, as many early attacks targeted bases believed to hold Yemen's missile arsenals. Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? Then you need Spendabit in your arsenal, the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spendabit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Visit spendabit.co today. Bitcoin merchants, ask about our merchant suite to reach even more customers. Spendabit.co. UPI reports civilians operating most types of recreational drones must register the devices by February 19th under new rules announced by the Federal Aviation Administration on Monday. Owners of small unmanned aircraft weighing between 0.55 and 55 pounds and suitable for onboard cameras and other recreational uses, according to the FAA, must register with the FAA starting December 21st, either through a paper process or online. The FAA is waiving a $5 registration fee for the first 30 days from December 21st to January 20th to encourage quick registration. Anthony Fox, the Secretary of Transportation, said in a statement, "Make no mistake, unmanned aircraft enthusiasts are aviators, and with that title comes a great deal of responsibility. The registration process involves providing the FAA with the drone owner's name, home address, and an email address. Registrants must be over 13 years old, and the FAA will provide an identification number to be displayed on the aircraft." For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports a federal judge on Monday ruled that Chicago police used excessive force on a man who died after he was dragged by handcuffs out of his cell and down a hallway 3 years ago. The ruling came as Chicago police and Mayor Rahm Emanuel face intense scrutiny over the police department's use of force. Protesters have called for Emanuel's resignation since last month's release of a video showing a police officer shooting a teenager to death. In the separate case of the man dragged by handcuffs, Officer Keith Kirkland and Supervising Officer Sergeant Tommy Walker are liable in their treatment of Philip Coleman, who later died at a hospital, according to court documents. Coleman was arrested for domestic battery on December 12, 2012. After he refused to go to court the next morning, several officers went into his cell where he was tasered. Court records showed that Kirkland handcuffed, shackled, and dragged the motionless Coleman by the handcuffs. The tasering and dragging were caught on video cameras, but there was no accompanying audio, according to court documents. The Coleman video was released to the public last week. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
In this week's Onion Tips section, 5 easy ways to adapt your deplorable and parasitic existence for the upcoming Armageddon. Tip 1. Focus on preparing your home for any number of disaster situations, which still probably won't take your mind off of your impending death or the myriad mistakes you made in your short, pitiful life. Tip 2. Make sure your linens are clean prior to the upcoming catastrophe, as these are likely the very same sheets on which you will soon be slowly asphyxiated. Tip 3. Take some time off work and spend your last days free from the bonds of the oppressive machine that was just about the only thing giving you a purpose to your otherwise insignificant days. Tip 4. Spend your final waking minutes before the end of the world with your family, knowing full well you'd rather be doing a number of other gratifying yet completely depraved things. Right, sicko? In other news, a smitten foot fetishist thinks these may be the two. A woman and her gay best friend go on another one of their little adventures, and a dead daughter would have wanted a $220 million liability settlement.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We do have Skype as well. You may join us there. Skype username is lrn.fm. With you in the studio, you've got Ian.
And Conan.
Top White House drug official claiming the war on drugs is a failure. We'll tell you more about that when we get a chance. But for those of you just tuning in, we have been talking about millennials, specifically voting millennials, which is a segment of the millennials.
Probably a very small segment.
Yeah, I would be curious to know what percentage are actually
according
voters.
to this article, Nick claims 1 in 5.
1 in 5 are registered voters?
Are politically engaged.
I see. Okay.
Which probably means voters, yes.
All right, so that sounds believable. About 20% then. So of those 20%, what do they think about the government is what we've been looking at here. One of them, the first question I think you shared, and I don't know if we've gotten through more than just the first question without picking it to pieces.
The first, the old Reagan question, for the problem facing America today, government is not the solution to our problems, or government is the problem. And 50% agreed with that government is the problem. 32 were neutral, 16 disagreed.
Right. And so that's a heartening kind of thing, but let's hear some more from the study.
So another question that was asked that is leading Nick to believe that millennials are starting to lean a little more libertarian these days.
Nick Gillespie from Reason.com.
In general, which do you think is a better way to solve important issues facing the country? Through political engagement or through community volunteerism?
Okay.
So
that's a good question.
21% said political engagement. 32 said community volunteerism, and 44 were unsure. So
interesting.
So and also 3 were declined to answer. But
I'd say that's a better question than the first one is, because the first one could be interpreted as, well, if you think the government is the problem, that could mean that the government isn't doing enough, that you want the government to do more. But in this case, it gives them, I think, a more clear choice between one path or another. And glad to see that community volunteerism is winning on that. Not a surprise that the majority of them would be unsure. I mean, we are dealing with young people.
That is a pretty big number. That's almost half just don't know what to do. They're just...
Well, that's a good answer.
And by the way, as far as I'm concerned, that is we talked about this at the beginning of the hour, last hour. I don't believe, I mean, they're the millennials. They're, in general, they are closeted, sheltered, uneducated, and they have no aspirations. And
I blame the government for that.
Well, and their parents.
Yeah.
So parents in general, Big Daddy is taking care of all of their needs and their wishes. And why should they have to come up with a solution to a question like that? So it's none of my concern. So 44% are like, yeah, I've been taken care of my whole life. I don't know the answer to that. Maybe my dad will take care of it for me.
At least it's an honest answer to the question. I think that it's a good thing when someone is able to say, I don't know.
I agree. But I wish more were,
give them a decade, man.
Had a backbone.
Give them a decade.
Yeah, wait till they start paying more of them taxes that are going out and getting lost
and
going right down the drain.
And a decade of watching the government fail, I think, can have an effect on that I don't know number. That'll shift some people.
Here's another similar question. Which do you think would do most to improve the quality of life in your local area? 30% said more investment from government. 34% said more investment from businesses. And 32% said volunteering from local residents. 4% were declined to answer. So that's a nice. 32% said people should help themselves.
And there was from businesses was one of the other ones.
34 was businesses, and yeah, there's your let's tax the 99% of the crap out of the business owners because they have all the money. And I'm sure that's what they were thinking when they said businesses, that people who run the corporations and run the country.
I don't know about that. I'm not sure if I could extract that.
Of course, the question was local, so it's a lot harder to blame mom and pop store down the road, or not blame, but to want them to take care of local issues. It's a lot easier to hate on Apple or Microsoft or whatever.
That's true.
So the question was local. So
all right.
So that pretty much wraps it up.
Okay.
I think that I am still a little leery
about
the millennials. If they were, so we're X.
Yep.
And I guess my daughter is Y. So are the guys who were born just recently in the last couple, half a decade, are they Generation Z? And what comes after Z? That's the end of the alphabet, man.
Oh, didn't they come up with a name for those people? Let's see. So generations are about 20 years, right? So we're talking about people who were born since the year 2000, basically.
Mm-hmm.
There is some sort of name for that, and I don't remember what it is. So I bet you if you looked up on Wikipedia or something like that.
Well, I'll throw my idea out there. That's it. Z is it. We've got to go back to zero. It's going to be the huge collapse of the empire, and then we're going to experience the dark ages. And yeah.
Speaking of the empire, the Star Wars movie came out yesterday in Hollywood. It was a special kind of premiere event, and the reviews are positive initially. So people apparently are liking it. One person said it might be the best blockbuster since the original.
Well, I'll wait till it's on Netflix.
Are you a Star Wars fan?
As usual. I was always more than Star Trek, yes. As far as space fantasy go, mine was always Farscape. I don't know if you remember that one back in the 90s.
Show, right?
It was an Australian TV show done by the Henson Company with all the puppeteers.
So they actually had puppets?
Oh yeah. I thought it was phenomenal. Star Wars, it was.
Wasn't Jim Henson involved in the characters on that movie too?
On Star Wars?
Yeah.
Maybe
I'm wrong.
I know Steven Spielberg was involved in.
I'm not enough of a fan. I don't know. Like I think given the choice between Star Wars and Star Trek, I'd probably choose Star Wars just because it's more actiony. But I've probably spent more time watching Star Trek because of all the TV shows.
I've spent an awful lot more time watching Star Wars. I do like the story, and I wish more people would embrace the idea. I mean,
what do you mean by that?
The little guy, the minority. Coming up,
the rebels against the Empire,
and taking down the Empire. I mean, it's so crystal clear in my mind's eye, and I don't think, and there are a lot of Star Wars lovers out there, but I don't think anyone gets it. I mean, they really don't get it. The same thing.
When you say they don't get it, do you mean that they don't take the ideas from the movies?
These are the same guys who are probably throwing Muslims out of the country, and we need to go bomb the hell out of some brown skinned countries. And my favorite movie is Star Wars. No, it can't be. You don't get it. You don't get it. You are the Empire.
Yeah.
So it baffles me. It really does baffle me.
Well, there's no there's certainly plenty of people who hold contradictory opinions about things. I was just listening when I took a nap today after the long trial from of James Cleveland, which we talked about in detail last night. It was mostly bureaucrats testifying today, but when I was waking up before the show here tonight, I heard Howie Ka.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a character, for those who don't know, he is a talk show host who has a regionally syndicated show out of Boston. And it's a terrible show, in my opinion. I mean, it's a fine talk show, I guess, as far as like talk shows go. It passes the bar for being a talk show. But he's just another hack who's doing talk radio, and he's yet another, conservative clone on the radio. So there's nothing special about Howie Carr. He's just a guy with a New England accent on the radio doing, Boston talk. For whatever reason, talk stations are so desperate for content, they'll put this guy on.
He's a conservative, right?
Oh, yeah. He's a conservative clone, just your typical talk show host. Wannabe Rush Limbaugh kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think I have heard him, and I just couldn't handle even a minute of him, and I had to turn the channel.
Yeah, he's awful. But, people, they listen to him because talk radio is just such a wasteland of content. It's not hard to be a success in talk radio. So this guy, he was complaining about I guess Massachusetts wants to add a new tax onto driving.
Another one.
Yeah, he's complaining about some sort of easy pass mandate or whatever the hell it was. But yet, on the other hand, in the process of complaining about it, he was complaining because they don't crack down on the immigrants enough when they are driving places. I'm like, well, look, dude, you want to crack down on somebody for some sort of thing, you shouldn't be surprised when somebody else wants to crack down on you.
That's right.
855-450-FREE.
There comes a time when you need custom embroidered or screen printed apparel for your business, organization, or a special event. Corporate Casuals has been helping people create great looking logoed apparel for over 25 years. They can produce a single piece or thousands using name brand apparel like Nike, Patagonia, Adidas, and Hanes. Create your logo in their online embroidery design studio or upload your existing logo and they'll turn it into embroidery. Go to corporatecasuals.com/FTL and include FTL in the order notes and save 5% on your order.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
Concerned about harmful contaminants in your water? Look to ProPure, the most trusted name in gravity water filtration systems. ProPure, with the silver-infused Pro 1 G2.0 filter, removes over 200 contaminants, including VOCs, heavy metals, chloramines, pesticides, pharmaceuticals, fluorides, and radiologicals. We don't just say it, we back it up. The Pro 1 G2.0 filter is NSF 42 certified and independently tested to meet NSF 53 and P231 standards. Pro Pure Water, the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. Purchase with confidence in quality, performance, and customer service. Take advantage of our biggest holiday 25% off sale going on now. Visit your authorized Pro Pure dealer or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com or call Call 800-544-3533. 800-544-3533.
According to a report released Monday, Americans currently lead the world in compressing big sandwiches into sufficiently biteable sizes, outranking countries such as Germany, Slovenia, and Ukraine in their sheer capacity to squeeze BLTs, meatball subs, and grinders into shapes that will easily and efficiently fit into their open mouths. Researchers pointed out that in series after series of tests, Americans consistently topped international rankings by implementing over 800 pounds per square inch of compressive force on sandwich categories as diverse as banh mi, croque monsieurs, or gyros, rarely hesitating for more than a moment before diving in and pushing the bread together and wedging it into their mouths.
Even in the cases in which Americans failed to sufficiently compress a sandwich and, say, dropped a stray piece of bacon or avocado, they still led the pack on quickly scooping up this topping with their hands and eating it, sometimes even inventively doing so with a stray potato chip or french fry.
This is the Onion News Network.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing healthcare for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
You can join us here on Free Talk Live. You're invited. 855-450-FREE. Whether you want to talk about the Millenials, Star Wars, or whatever happens to be on your mind. Also coming up, a shocking headline about the war on drugs. Top White House drug official saying the war on drugs is a failure? Does that mean they want to spend more money on it? What does that mean? 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Also, you can join us via Skype at Skype username LRN.FM. There's a movement in healthcare today of people that are ready to stand up and take charge of their healthcare. People like you and me who are tired of paying too much for healthcare and getting too little. People are standing up for their values and letting their conscience make decisions based on timeless principles. It's a movement that's sweeping the nation, and you should be part of it. Liberty Health Share is leading the movement of people who are looking for an alternative to traditional health insurance. It's a healthcare sharing organization full of people who are sharing the cost of healthcare in an easy and efficient way. Choose your own doctor, your own hospital, and live out your values in healthcare. Join the movement and change healthcare for good. Go to joinlhs.com. That's Liberty Health Share at joinlhs.com. Their toll-free number, if you want to call them, 800-722-8041. That's 800-722-8041. Joinlhs.com.
So the question was, what comes after Generation Z?
Well, what comes after what is Generation Z called was my question, and apparently there's no real firm name for them yet.
Well, they, according to Google, their Generation Z is Generation Net.
Generation Net, meaning they were raised on the internet from day one, that kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. And I know that I didn't get internet till after high school.
For me, it was the mid-90s.
Yeah, I remember we had a computer.
I remember internet when it was text only.
I remember I actually learned to type. One of the typing class that I took in high school was on a typewriter, which sometimes you'll see, which I'm trying to, I can sell them on, somehow or another, I'm able to sell them on eBay. I don't know who's buying these things.
Typewriters.
Yeah, old-fashioned mechanical typewriters.
Incredible.
But, I learned on a typewriter and computer. I know I got my first computer in 99.
I definitely learned typing not on a typewriter. It was some sort of old computer that they had us learning on. I think it was the PC Junior, if I'm recalling correctly, which was like an old IBM computer that you had to load with a cartridge.
Oh yeah.
You remember this thing?
I have one for sale on eBay as we speak. It's I can't remember who makes it. Emerson or something. Oh,
no, it's IBM.
Well, I mean the one I'm trying to sell. It's a good machine. It's a good strong machine, and
no, it's not. It's an old piece of junk.
It corrects. It has autocorrect and stuff.
When you say strong, you mean like it's still working from the 1980s or whatever?
It's a mechanical device.
Okay.
That was constructed in the 80s, and it is
solid.
It's good to go. It's solid. It could hold up a side of your
it's
truck.
Heavy. Yeah,
it's heavy. So this is a campaign by let's see, who's this guy's name? Mark McCrindle, some Australian. He's one of them TEDxer speakers.
Okay.
And he coined it
Generation Net
a couple years ago. No, the generation after Generation Net.
Oh, okay.
So where does it go? I mean, does it if you're in my camp, Generation Z that's it. But let's be optimistic. Where does it go from there? And so he went around and he did a poll, and the response was, let's go with Alpha, Generation Alpha.
It's too early to call. I mean, they already haven't really figured out what to call the Generation Net people. According to Wikipedia, says here the cohort
these people are already there. This is anyone born after 2010 is a member of the Gen Alpha.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so according to at least according to Wikipedia,
they're millennials, but they are on the end of the millennial generation, and they're becoming this new generation. I mean, they're not gonna we're not gonna hear anything from these people for another decade and a half. But they're born now.
Okay, wait. So generation. Okay, so let me see if I've got this straight. I feel like I'm missing something here, Conan. So millennials are people born after basically 1980, early 80s. So this depends on who you ask, but basically somewhere between 80 and 84, 85 is when the millennials start. And there's like a 20-year range generally.
And it can go. I've heard it go from 85 to
65 or
2015.
No way. Too long. Generally, the generations are about 20 years. So the Gen X ranges from the early 60s to the early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So millennials should range from the early 80s to the early aughts, which would mean that
2005.
Right. So 2005 would be the latest for the millennials, which would mean that the Generation Z or the Net generation or whatever the hell they're called,
they're still being born,
would go from the aughts through 2020.
All right.
Basically.
Well, the 2010 number was Business Insider.
So whoever's after the Generation Net, the Generation Z or whatever, that would start at around 2020, is my understanding.
That does sound like that's a more convincing number.
Yeah, but again, it's just kind of like a floating thing. Who knows? Where it's just somebody arbitrarily decides these things.
Yeah,
right?
I already talked about one young lady who doesn't want to be a part of the millennials, and she refused.
She burned her membership card.
Very bluntly said, "No way! I don't care. I was born in that year, but I don't want any part of those stupid kids."
Oh, they're learning. Everybody's growing over time. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. But I agree with her. It's stupid to put people into this. You're all the same because you were born in this 20-year period. It's like the idea of a generation is almost as silly as
nationalism.
Well, there's nationalism, but I was thinking more along the lines of like astrology. You were born in the month of July and August, so therefore you share all these traits with everyone else.
Actually, yeah, it's all bunk. But But every generation adjusts its behavior off of the previous generation and the generation that comes after it. So
they'll rebel from the previous.
So you can say that a generation who are all the same age should share a lot of characteristics.
They have shared experiences.
I mean, we're very different from the baby boomers. I mean, and then there was you had your late 60s, 70s hippies. I mean, they were reacting directly to their parents, and then we're.
But the boomers went through periods of war, just like we've gone through periods of war
and depression.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's similar, but I mean,
It's a shared experience, but the way people encounter those experiences, the way they grow from those experiences, varies by the individual.
And of course, you're always going to have old dudes like us, two middle-aged guys who are already complaining. Hey, I'm complaining about the millennials. I've been doing it all night. They're a bunch of worthless,
hey, you raised one of them.
Uneducated. Well, and actually, that brings up a good point too, because of course.
Isn't that a failure of Gen X?
My daughter went through her teenage years, and we had our issues.
Yeah.
But she's on her own right now, and she's doing very well.
You get along better now that she's on her own?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's usually how we Solidays we prefer it, because the love comes much easier when we're not
not living together.
Yeah, exactly. But I raised her tough, and her whole life she was getting it from her other side of her family and from other parents who would say, "Hey, your dad is too tough on you."
Oh.
And I'm like, no. I'm giving the kid what she needs in order to be a good adult. And you can tell it's like she was raised in another generation. She is not one of these worthless millennials that I'm always complaining about. Kid's good.
Our toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. Join us here on Free Talk Live.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Owe $10,000 or more to the IRS?
Get on board with the Tax Admiral. Don't take on the IRS alone. I'll cut penalties and reduce your overall tax bill. Sometimes I can even get it zeroed out completely.
We're an A-rated company helping people clean up their mess with the IRS.
If you owe $10,000 or more, then call the Tax Admiral.
Call 800-287-7180. Again, that's 800-287-7180. 800-287-7180.
What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 85% of the way to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up and are proving the Free State Project is a real movement and no longer just a great idea. When you're planning your move, consider Keene. Keene is famous for its civil disobedience and non-cooperation, and there's plenty of political opportunity as well. If you're a regular reader of freekeene.com, you know there's a lot going on in Keene. Keene is the liberty media capital of the world, with television, talk radio, and more, all originating here. Though it's more than just activism, with regular social events each week. See what's happening at freekeene.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, a forum, and activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekeene.com. That's freekeene.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading on Tuesday, gold is $3 higher at $1,064 per ounce. Silver is 7 cents higher at $13.79 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $456 US. We have the lowest price Australian spiders and koalas I've seen on the web. If you find them cheaper, we'll match that price and ship for free. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You may join us if you like. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Coming up, apparently Americans have been polled about whether or not they would vote for Star Wars characters over the presidential candidates, and we'll give you the results here in a little bit. Toll-free number 855-450-3733. The headline here from, this is a site I've never seen before, attn.com. Top White House drug official, war on drugs is a failure. The nation's top drug official went on CBS 60 Minutes on Sunday night. So this is breaking story here, and proclaimed the old war on drugs a failure. Michael Botticelli, who serves as the director of the White House Office of National Drug Control Policy, also said he wants to reform and refocus U.S. drug policy. When asked by 60 Minutes host Scott Pelley if the costly drug war that has been in place for more than 40 years has been wrong, Botticelli had blunt words for what he called the, quote, failed policies and failed practices, unquote, of the past, noting that those policies were largely responsible for the nation's mass incarceration epidemic. He had said it's been all wrong, noting further that locking up drug offenders had not only contributed to a costly, bloated prison system, but had also failed to curtail Americans' drug habits.
He probably is, I bet you he's already going to go for, we need to spend more money, because it's not going to be less money, on rehabilitating these drug users, which, by the way, might be the better way to do it. But he's not going to be for.
He's not going to abandon the ship.
Oh no, yeah. all of his buddies, he wants to keep them all in. Keep their jobs. This is job security.
I tend to agree with you, Conan. But let me give you some more from this guy. He said, "quote We can't arrest and incarcerate addiction out of people. Not only do I think it's really inhumane, but it's ineffective, and it's cost us billions upon billions of dollars to keep doing this."
Agreed.
He is right on with that statement. Now, what his ultimate solution is, I don't know. But when you get arrested for drugs and then they put you in jail or in prison, and then you can continue to get drugs, you shouldn't be surprised when you can't keep the drugs out of the country if you can't keep them out of a simple prison.
Yeah, I'm doing this, son, for your own good, to protect you from death. So I'm going to throw you in jail and ruin your life.
Yeah.
And that's basically what it is. And a lot of people, especially minorities, people of color, people on the low economic situation, it really does ruin their lives. I mean, some rich white kid could probably get out of it. Mommy and daddy can pay for that lawyer to put the Band-Aid on and fix that problem. But a lot of people, they can't bounce back from it, and it's just the rest of their lives. It's just and these are our neighbors. These are the people we have to live with for the rest of our lives. And I'd rather live with someone who, educated, good job.
How did this guy get in this position? I mean, it's really shocking.
It might just be a sign of the times. I mean, look at all the states who are coming out and saying, "Hey, look, the war on marijuana is ridiculous."
Well, he's not specifying just marijuana here. He's really just talking about the failure of the war on drugs. The director of National Drug Control Policy position, sometimes called the drug czar. That's what I was thinking this guy is responsible for the agency that sets budgets for national drug policies, works with the governments of foreign countries with robust drug exports, and devises strategy for health and law enforcement agencies to combat addiction and drug abuse. Botticelli, who began as acting director under 1 year ago, is himself a recovering alcoholic, the first person in substance abuse recovery to hold the office.
Well, that's refreshing.
Yeah, I got to say that is, because, these guys and gals, whoever the drug czars have been, I don't know if there have been any ladies, but I know Michelle Leonhardt was in charge of the DEA, and she's now gone. But anyway, these people have been, there's just ardent anti-drug crackdown, put them in prison, and not a single one of them has ever, at least admittedly, gone through any kind of drug rehab or gone through the system or have had any kind of struggle personally with drugs. Now, maybe they do struggle personally when they're at home and they've got their own secret vices.
As far as I'm concerned, anybody who turns something like that into their livelihood, and especially it's always about these. It's usually these right-wing conservatives who are always preach about the gays.
Oh yeah.
And then 10 years later, you find out that he got caught having sex with
I love those
homosexual in a hotel. Yeah, I have no doubt that these drug czars, these very uptight, abstinence is the only way, is the only solution. Lock them all up. Probably have serious issues at the
you
house.
Think they're hiding something?
Or they would be most likely to fall prey to an addictive behaviors. I am suspicious.
On 60 Minutes, Botticelli emphasized the need to recast drug addiction as a problem that can't be treated by simply locking users up. He said, quote, "We've learned addiction is a brain disease. That is not a moral failing. That's not about bad people who are choosing to continue to use drugs because they lack willpower," he said, noting the dangers of the overuse and overprescribing of opioid prescription pain medication. He said, quote, we don't expect people with cancer to just stop having cancer. And further, nor would you think that, solving someone's cancer issues would be done by putting them in a jail cell. It's not going to make them better. But as progressive as Botticelli came across on drug reform on the program, he was apprehensive to put his support behind the legalization of marijuana, explaining that legalized drugs, after all, kill over 500,000 Americans annually. He said that legalizing marijuana could send the wrong signals to users that the drug is safe and not addictive, saying, quote, "So we know that about 1 in 9 people who use marijuana become addicted to marijuana. It's been associated with poor academic performance and exacerbating mental health conditions linked to lower IQ," and adding that he fears states becoming codependent on tax revenue that's often based on bad public health policy. So by no means is this man a major reformer as far as drug policy is concerned, but at least the words coming out of his mouth are a lot better than his predecessors to embrace the idea that the war on drugs has been a failure. It's to actually acknowledge, to just simply acknowledge reality that it has not worked to stop drug use. Wasn't that the goal? Wasn't that the whole point of the war on drugs? Drugs are bad. We need to stop people from using them. Well, that hasn't worked. In fact, people are using drugs, if not as much as they had in the past, maybe even more than they had in the past. Drug addiction, if you look at Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, which is a great group of former cops who've really got it on the war on drugs, they've come around, they've joined the side opposing prohibition. Mm-hmm. They'll tell you that back before heroin was made illegal, there was about the same amount of people who were addicted to it back then as there is today. Of course, now today it's more dangerous than it was back then. So someone who's addicted to heroin today is more likely to die from their addiction, given that they're buying drugs in the black marketplace, and a lot of times they don't really know what they're getting. They might be cut with something dangerous. They might be a stronger dose than they're used to. They might overdose as a result of that. So it's more dangerous now to use heroin than it was in the past because of the war on drugs. But it's nice to see this guy, even though he's by no means an advocate of legalization, at the very least going on a television show like 60 Minutes and saying the things that he's saying. Because that's what it takes, I think, for a lot of people to kind of break down their barriers on this, is to see these government guys saying something different than normal, which is why, in my opinion, the Law Enforcement Against Prohibition is such an important group. Because even though they don't advocate for legalization in the same way that I do, meaning that I'm not really a legalization fan. I'm more of an end prohibition fan. Mm-hmm. I want to repeal prohibition and not have a legalized structure where the government will control it. They want to end prohibition and have a legalized structure. They want to have the official stance of Law Enforcement Against Prohibition.
There's too much revenue involved.
Right.
There's too much money, and they're running out of getting it from any other location, and it's a sin.
Right. So they're not against the state.
Tax the crap out of them sin issues.
Right. And that's money for the state. They want the money for the state. They want the power still, too. They still want to be able to control the drugs. They just want the state to control it in the more traditional manner of alcohol regulation, where the state is very much in control of that, but yet it's legal in that you can go to the store and buy it. You don't have to buy from some back alley dealer.
You just can't make it in your basement. Because
you can. You just can't do it legally.
You cannot.
And some you can. You can like do brew. You can do like home brewing of beer, but liquor you can't do.
You can't do the hard stuff.
Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. At what percentage alcohol content does it become the hard stuff? Where do they draw that line?
It's the process.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us here and share your thoughts.
For P150, P150GA, P150OK, P150TN, C250A, C250E, C250Q. Not available in all states.
Have you put off seeing the dentist because you can't afford to go? Are big dental bills taking a big toll on your wallet? Would you like to have dental insurance but think it's too expensive? If you answered yes to any of these questions, call Physicians Mutual Insurance Company for a free information kit. See how you can help protect your teeth and your wallet by calling now. 1-800-647-9959. This is real dental insurance that can help cover over 300 procedures. Everything from cleanings and fillings to crowns and dentures. Your acceptance is guaranteed for one of these insurance policies, even if you're retired. You can see any dentist you choose, and you'll never pay a deductible. Call in the next 10 minutes, and we'll rush you a free information kit with all the details. 1-800-647-9959. That's 1-800-647-9959. 1-800-647-9959.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare? Having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom106.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom, the number 106.com. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom106.com.
Hey guys, Mark Claire here, lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We bring you the Morning Roar. That's right, every Monday to Friday we'll have a brand new edition of the Morning Roar, where we provide a roundup of some news stories that you may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest-running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view, along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, you know, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com. Advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
How many lawyers does it take to change a light bulb? None. They'd rather keep their clients in the dark. There are too many lawyer jokes to count. However, there are some lawyers with more noble intentions. At the Institute for Justice, we bring the light to our clients. We are a non-profit public interest law firm with clear values and principles. At IJ, we fight for those whose most basic rights are denied by the government. Visit our website today at ij.org.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. You can join us here. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Are the times a-changin'? It certainly seems like it with the drug czar. Michael Botticelli is his name. Coming out on 60 Minutes and basically admitting failure. You know, when you can admit that you have made a mistake, when you can admit that the policy has been wrong, I think that's at least some level of intellectual honesty from this guy. Now, of course, he continues on and manages to trot out some, prohibitionist nonsense about marijuana. So by no means is he an honest person in general. He's a politician and a bureaucrat. But, I'll give credit where credit's due. Him saying that this has basically been an abject failure. He says it has been all wrong. We can't arrest and incarcerate addiction out of people. Not only do I think it's really inhumane, but it's ineffective, and it's cost us billions upon billions of dollars to keep doing this.
Like I said earlier, this is just a sign of the times. There are more and more people who are aware that this is an ultimate failure throughout the years. I mean, if you just listen to our own representatives here, our council members here in Keene, I mean, more and more of them are coming out and saying, "Hey, look, the war on heroin. There's a heroin epidemic, and and you can blame the war on drugs completely." Of course, then they come out in the next sentence and they're like, "Hey, but what we need to be spending that money on is drug rehabilitation." And so if this guy was to come out, so like I said, it's a sign of the times. If this guy was to come out and say anything other than what he said, too many people would be like, no. And they would start to lose faith in Big Daddy government, who's supposed to be all knowing, all powerful, and supposed to fix all the problems. If he came out and said anything other than this, he would actually lose the people who support him in his position. So he's not he's not
elected or anything.
He's not going to come out and say, we need to get rid of my job.
No.
He's just or all my buddies or all my peers, all the people who work for me. Those people aren't going to lose their jobs. They're just going to change job description.
Well, certainly the DEA, I imagine, would disagree with this guy's statements, right? Their job is to enforce the war on drugs, and even if you're changing from a mandatory arrest policy to a mandatory treatment policy, that's going to shake up the way things are, structured at the federal government level.
You're still going to need cops going out and picking these guys up. You still need them. You're still going to need them to drive them off to the rehabilitation center.
I see what you're saying.
You're going to have, instead of prison guards, you're going to have hospital wardens. And I mean, these people are not going anywhere. The money is still going to be used to fix. Now, the question is, will society benefit from this? Because I mean, from the money being taken from us via coercive taxation, no. But will more people keep their lives and not, wake up in a gutter or wake up dead in a gutter? I mean, will this actually benefit society a little more than it is right now? Because right now it's bad. It's bad business.
So I oppose forced treatment. I think that it is the wrong way to approach the problem. But it's better than jail.
Yeah. What if you can't get a license unless you go have this treatment, or you can't get your driver's license, or you can't get a job somewhere unless you go get this treatment? I mean, they're going to find ways.
Well, it'll just be forced treatment. I mean, I think that's where this is going. Because I agree with you where you're coming from, Conan. Like, these guys aren't going anywhere. They're just going to restructure how they do things. And we've seen there have already been talks about this at local government and state government levels of, well, we need a drug court. We need to. Actually, I was just in court today, and they had drug court in the middle of the James Cleveland trial. So they broke for lunch, and then there was 2 hours where they had drug court in the same courtroom.
I haven't been able to witness such a thing. How does it work?
I didn't witness today's drug court, but I have witnessed one of them in the past, and I guess the idea is that it's a slightly more compassionate method of handling things, but not by much. Basically, the drug user is sort of put into this alternative sentencing system, as I understand it. They go to this drug court. They check in. When you're in drug court, there's in the jury seating area, there are these people who are like social worker types. So there's the guy from the jail who sort of meets with people in jail and supposedly helps them place themselves into society after they get out. I've heard things that are not good about him, but that's another story.
So there's only one in Keene?
one jail, but
or the guy who's the guy who is rehabilitating and re-entering these people back into society.
No. He's just the one guy that works at the jail.
Okay.
Then there's other social worker types who are there as well. So he's one of them I recognize. There's others I don't recognize. So I don't know who all of these people are, but they sort of sit there like a panel. And they observe the drug court, and I guess they give opinions to the judge about whether or not this person who is on the stand
has a chance,
or is trying, or is being honest, or whatever. And the judge sort of makes they take evidence in about what this person has allegedly done, or at least claims about what they've done. So I remember when I was in there once, there was a girl who supposedly had an order to not contact her former drug dealer. And someone alleged that she had contacted her former drug dealer. Right. So the judge in that case, who's the same judge as is in all the superior court cases here, he sent her back to jail as a punishment for breaking her word and going and meeting with her drug dealer. Now, she claims it wasn't for drugs and that she's clean or whatever, but because she broke her promise, he sent her back to jail. So they're certainly still using jail as the tool to punish these people, but ostensibly it's a more friendly system towards them. I don't really know what the evidence is for that. I'm not so sure about how great the drug court system is. Like I said, that was the one time I've ever been to observe it, so my experience with it is fairly limited.
Let me ask you something. All right, so this is how they're doing it. They're trying very slowly to find the solution to this issue, and it is an issue. And the big question is, of course, why are there so many addicts, and is it really just the end result of living in a society that is not fair, and people are trying to escape?
Yeah, absolutely.
The working as a monkey behind a cubicle, and
it's
being
total escape.
So besides that, as far as libertarian society is concerned, what is the solution to people who have a problem?
It's compassion. To be there and to offer the resources to the person.
But how many times can you do that? If you're say, hey, you go ahead and sleep on my couch. I know you're going through some hard times right now, and of course, it's week after week, month after month, same old problem. They're still coming home. You're still finding them on your porch every morning, and they're just killing themselves.
It's hard to watch somebody that you love do that to themselves, right. No doubt about it. But I don't believe, and I think most people who are drug addicts or former alcoholics or whatever, which is the same thing, would agree that if you're in a treatment program, if you're in AA or NA or whatever it is that you're in to try to help you get over these issues, if you're in one of those programs and you're in on your own volition,
right.
And then the court sends in some jerk who, is not interested in quitting drugs, but they got caught with some drugs, so now they're part of this more compassionate drug court, or whatever the hell the drug czar is going to come up with here to replace the war on drugs as we know it. Some sort of government-mandated treatment, and this happens a lot, where the courts will say, well, jail isn't the right answer, so you need to go to treatment. And then they send them off with their little slip. And of course, if they don't go to treatment, then they go to jail. Right. So they still hold jail over their head. And now you've got somebody, and more than one somebody likely, in this treatment center or in this class or whatever, this this group that doesn't really want to be there.
Yeah, they're forced to be there. They probably don't want to kick the habit because they're just fine, but they got caught.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a very important point to for our representatives to be aware of. Hey, if the guy doesn't want to fix his problem,
you got to let him get to that point.
There is no amount of jail time or fining or taking away their rights that's going to fix this.
You got to let them fall to rock bottom and have them make the determination that they are ready to change their life.
And you know what? They might die.
They might.
And that's a hard thing that I don't think a lot of people in our society are easy with. We're gonna die one day, and some people die faster than others, whether it be by accident, whether it be self-infliction, or driving crazy on the road, or going to war and getting blowed up. But you can't. We're not gods. We can't fix these issues. We can't, and we especially can't make decisions for other individuals who may not agree with us.
The problem that you're going to run into, I think, Conan, because I agree with you, and I think we're on the same page on this, is that you're going to encounter there's a certain percentage of people who have been forced into treatment and who have gotten better. Right?
Yeah, these are the stories we always hear of, and these are usually the social workers or the guidance counselors who are actually they're rehabilitated, who are going out and they're trying to fix the problem, and they've got these war stories to tell. And yeah, it does seem like there's a very small percentage.
I have an ex-girlfriend who says that it was a good thing she went to jail when she was on heroin.
But what's the percentage of people who it doesn't work for?
Yeah, 855-450 free. It's Free Talk Live.
Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof money to the people where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom in the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com.
Dr. Ngozi Obi is an emerging American author of Nigerian descent who's published 2 novels with an inspirational message. A third is in the works. Her first novel, Love's Destiny, follows Naira, a somewhat naive young woman, in a gripping tale of love lost and found. Her second novel, When Dreams and Visions Collide, follows Fern and friends as they discover what it takes to realize a dream and the true meaning of unconditional love. Dr. Obi's books are available where books are sold and ladyofdestiny.com.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com. The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene and the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, December 15th, 2015. Silver is trading at $13.71 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,064 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $452. Antiwar.com reports, in what appears to be the single deadliest strike of the 9-month Saudi war in Yemen, forces loyal to the Shiite Houthis fired an OTR-21 Tachka tactical ballistic missile at a pro-Saudi coalition base near Taiz, with early reports putting the death toll around 152 troops. The identities of all the slain are still being sorted out, but dozens of foreign troops are among the slain, including Saudi Special Forces Commander Colonel Abdullah Sayyan. Emirati and Moroccan soldiers were also identified among the slain. The Houthis reported the attack was carried out by one of the nation's few remaining Tachka missiles and reported causing many losses in lives and military equipment, claiming to have destroyed Apache helicopters in the strike. This is the second Tachka missile used in the war, with a previous strike against the Emirati base in Marib province back in September, an attack which killed 45 soldiers. These stand as the 2 deadliest strikes against combatants during the war, though there have been several incidents where scores of civilians were slain. Yemen was believed to have around 10 Tachka missiles at the start of the war. It is unclear how many remain, as many early attacks targeted bases believed to hold Yemen's missile arsenals. Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? Then you need Spendabit in your arsenal, the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spendabit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Visit spendabit.co today. Bitcoin merchants, ask about our merchant suite to reach even more customers. Spendabit.co. UPI reports civilians operating most types of recreational drones must register the devices by February 19th under new rules announced by the Federal Aviation Administration on Monday. Owners of small unmanned aircraft weighing between 0.55 and 55 pounds and suitable for onboard cameras and other recreational uses, according to the FAA, must register with the FAA starting December 21st, either through a paper process or online. The FAA is waiving a $5 registration fee for the first 30 days from December 21st to January 20th to encourage quick registration. Anthony Fox, the Secretary of Transportation, said in a statement, "Make no mistake, unmanned aircraft enthusiasts are aviators, and with that title comes a great deal of responsibility. The registration process involves providing the FAA with the drone owner's name, home address, and an email address. Registrants must be over 13 years old, and the FAA will provide an identification number to be displayed on the aircraft." For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports a federal judge on Monday ruled that Chicago police used excessive force on a man who died after he was dragged by handcuffs out of his cell and down a hallway 3 years ago. The ruling came as Chicago police and Mayor Rahm Emanuel face intense scrutiny over the police department's use of force. Protesters have called for Emanuel's resignation since last month's release of a video showing a police officer shooting a teenager to death. In the separate case of the man dragged by handcuffs, Officer Keith Kirkland and Supervising Officer Sergeant Tommy Walker are liable in their treatment of Philip Coleman, who later died at a hospital, according to court documents. Coleman was arrested for domestic battery on December 12, 2012. After he refused to go to court the next morning, several officers went into his cell where he was tasered. Court records showed that Kirkland handcuffed, shackled, and dragged the motionless Coleman by the handcuffs. The tasering and dragging were caught on video cameras, but there is no accompanying audio, according to court documents. The Coleman video was released to the public last week. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
This is the Onion Week in Review. According to a Stanford University study released Wednesday, there is no logical reason why planes are able to fly. Reiterating that they fully understand the concepts of lift, thrust, and propulsion, lead physicists told reporters they were still unable to reasonably explain how a large 500,000-pound object is capable of staying up in the air without falling.
We've come up with several theories, including wind propulsion, some sort of gravity suspension effect, also the possibility that the clouds pull the plane skyward, but beyond that, just don't understand how a large metal tube could just kind of float in the air like that. And it's going at like 500 miles per hour, which means that when I'm on a plane, I'm also going 500 miles per hour? I mean, that's crazy. I mean, why is my hair blowing back and forth?
The Stanford team added they plan to devote the next 2 years to a new study on why telephones can hear. In other news, an urban planner is stuck in traffic of his own design, and a kid screams behind a passenger during an entire plane crash. Visit theonion.com/newsbeat for more.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live, and you can join us here, toll free. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. The nation's drug czar in the United States saying the war on drugs is a failure on 60 Minutes.
Very interesting.
It's Ian and Conan in the studio here with you tonight. It is interesting. Conan, you say it's a sign of the times that this guy couldn't say anything else.
Or they'd throw him off. They'd throw him right out of the position. The people would. They need to be.
But the people don't vote for this guy.
They don't, but
he's appointed.
They don't, but they have to deal with the war on drugs. A lot of people have actually seen it. I mean, if you ask someone like, do you know anyone who died from a drug abuse, yep, or do you know someone in jail due to drug usage? And a lot of people say,
doesn't?
Yeah,
doesn't?
My neighbor is in and out of, or my daughter, or my, any number of people. Yeah, more and more people are affected by the war on drugs.
You have to be completely delusional to not think the war on drugs is an abject failure from all aspects. It costs a lot of money. It costs lives. Police are dying unnecessarily for this. I mean, I love one of the questions one of our callers asked in the past is, asking politicians, how many more cops do you want to die? How many more cops do you want to perish because of this war on drugs? Because the more raids they commit on people's homes, the more likely somebody's going to shoot them.
Yeah.
So this guy's saying that, the war on drugs is a failure and that there needs to be a change in policy. But at the same time, he's also not really coming out in favor of legalization. So I think that what you've speculated on here, Conan, what we were discussing in the last hour, is that you're going to see more mandated treatment. And I don't think that that's a good thing either. But the argument from the treatment fanatics or the people who are arguing for treatment, mandated treatment, is going to be that, well, it may not be the right thing to do in some cases, but overall it's helping some people, and so therefore people should be forced into treatment because some people who've been forced into treatment have stayed quit. I don't know what the percentage is. I suspect it's fairly low.
And there are plenty of people out there who are like, yeah, we need to spend $1 million, but if it saves, it might be silly, but if it saves one life, that $1 million is worth it. I mean, they will, as long as it's not their money. And when I say their money, I mean all coming from them.
Don't you care about people? I mean, don't you want to spend the money to help people, even if it doesn't help everybody?
Hey, I'm a hard knocks guy, man. I believe that you have to fall down sometimes to learn a trick.
Isn't this a hard knock? Isn't getting arrested by the system and then forced into a treatment system? Isn't that a hard knock? Isn't that an indicator you've reached the bottom of the barrel?
It's not something that you discovered on your own. Someone found it for you. They have forced it on you. If you don't figure it out for yourself, if you don't wake up and realize that there's a problem, the problem is never going to get fixed. There's only one person who can fix your issues, and that's yourself.
I tend to agree with you, Conan. I like the idea somebody reaching to coming to their own conclusion that they need to get the help. Now is the time. Okay, you've woken up in an alleyway, you've got a needle hanging out of your arm, and you've managed to come to whatever level of understanding that this is not the life you want for yourself, and so you check yourself into a clinic or something like that. I would love that to be the story for everybody. I've got an ex-girlfriend who had an opiate addiction, and when I was down there in Florida a couple of years ago, I was in the car with her when she went to the bank to get some money that she would need to buy some more opiates. She was shooting up in her knuckles in the car.
Oh God.
Now she wasn't driving. I wouldn't let her drive. I was driving the car. But it was weird, man. Like I'd never seen that happen before.
Was that to hide the scars? Or
she couldn't. She's too. Okay,
her
so
arms are too sensitive.
Yeah, she has a tough time finding veins in her arms. And a lot of heroin users or opiate addicts who are injecting will run out.
Yeah, we don't have that problem.
Right.
Veins are popping out of us skinny guys.
But even if your veins are popping out, you can track your arms up real bad, and eventually you'll have to go to something else.
Yeah, between your toes or whatever.
So I remember, as an example of somebody who did hit rock bottom once, I used to know a guy who told me that he was a heroin addict. This was like a decade and a half ago. That he realized he had gone too far when he had run out of places to inject on his body, and he had to inject into his forehead. So he was standing in front of his bathroom mirror, about to inject into his forehead, is when he finally came to the conclusion, I have hit rock bottom. This is as bad as it gets, right? Like that's what it took for him to get to that point. And he cleaned himself up, and I don't remember exactly what the process was that he went through that, but when he reached that point of drawing that conclusion about his life, he did get on the right track and cleaned up his life, and I think he's doing okay now.
Yeah.
But then there's my ex-girlfriend who had this opiate addiction. She credits the whole going to jail experience as a good thing that happened to her.
Yeah, I think some people can learn from a very traumatizing. It might be. I suspect it's more traumatizing to wake up in a jail cell and with the fear that your next door neighbor might beat you up the next day, or or just having your freedom taken from you might be a wake up call for some people. I think some people just get used to it. I think people feel like they're waking up in a jail cell right here, right across the street from us. They feel like they're in jail already. So throwing them in jail in prison is not going to fix the problem. if anything,
I don't think we have any drug addicts across the street.
Well,
from us.
I mean, but hey, supposedly we have the heroin is on its way back. It's come back. It's huge here
Heroin's
in New Hampshire.
big. Yeah.
And so I think that you probably do have a neighbor.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Who is probably spanking it right now? Spank it. Oh, wow, is
that slang for heroin?
I guess preparing the vein.
Okay.
It's
we
definitely
probably have a neighbor spanking it too.
Yeah,
right
it's definitely
now,
slang for something
Odds
else.
are good there's someone spanking it.
Yes.
Yeah. So but my point of bringing up her story is like, here we are, we're saying, okay, jail's not the answer, forced treatment's not the answer, but yet there are some people who say that for them it was. That for them it was the path out.
But is the money, is the overall investment that is coming, that is being forced on the taxpayers, is that worth it? Or would it be just hey man, figure it out? I'm sorry. And that's where the libertarians get their cold-hearted nature, and we get thrown right out of the meeting because we just want kids to die. We just want people to figure it out on their own. It doesn't matter how they figure it out. If they die during the process, then hey, that's Darwin's natural selection taking its course. And you know what? I'm a huge.
You're a cold-hearted libertarian.
I'm a cold-hearted libertarian. I believe in Darwin's law, and it's real.
Yeah.
Some people are just going to make mistakes, and they're going to have accidents, and sometimes there's no other solution.
I think there are compassionate solutions that don't involve the state. In fact, I don't think the state is compassionate in any way, shape, or form. And I'm not saying you're in favor of those things. I'm just saying that I think that it is important for libertarians to be able to communicate how to help people without just screw them. With that particular mindset. And I think that we have the tools, we have the systems that can help people who want to receive the help, and it should be there for them, whether it's funded. I don't think it should be funded by the government, but I think that there are enough people who care about heroin. There's like a group in town that's called Keene Hates Heroin, which I think is the wrong name for a group.
They have labeled themselves a hate group.
Right.
That's
I think that's wrong.
That's number one step. Do not become a hate group.
Right.
Become a charitable group or a. And
I wrote about this I wrote a blog post about it over at Free Keene when I heard about them. I'm like, this is not going to help, right? Hating heroin isn't going to help. In fact, heroin has helped some people. It's a medical drug, and there are certain reasons why some people need heroin. TJ the Spy swears it saved his life. Mm-hmm. So it just depends on your circumstances. But those people, I only bring them up as an example of people who really care. Like, they care about it. They're just, I think, doing it in the wrong way.
Yeah, you know what? And they'll know better than, say, some a government-paid social worker who to spend their time on. So if they only have a certain amount of resources, they might know that, hey, no, man, we've been dealing with you for the past couple of years. You're a loss, but this guy over here, there's a chance we can save his life. They'll know better how to use the resources, the limited resources that they have, or to go and actually petition people, the community, to say, hey, look, we need some more help. I mean, can you come out? Can you volunteer? And that's where it really comes from. And when the person is being helped realizes where the help is coming from, it's coming from his neighbor. It's not coming from some government shill. It's coming from someone who really cares about me.
Right.
They're not doing it because it's a job. They're doing it because they're good people. That is so much more meaningful.
I think it's powerful that way. I agree with you there. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Maybe you have had an addiction, and what turned it around for you? What is your story? Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. When did you hit rock bottom, and what made you realize it? Because some people are at rock bottom for a while before they get to the realization.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
My name is Bill Honor, and I have an important message. Right now, the highest levels of government are struggling against an inevitable crisis, but they're about to lose control. When this happens, it will rip our country apart in ways you never imagined, from where we shop to the family you want to protect. Look, I've made predictions like this before. A few years ago, I warned that the housing prices would collapse. Before that, I warned that .com companies would crash, and they did. Those who listened had a chance to save themselves. But this has nothing to do with the stock market. This will affect us all. I've posted a free video at disappearingwealth.com. Maybe you'll disagree with my conclusions, but first you need to watch this video and see the facts for yourself. You can watch the video for free right now by going to disappearingwealth.com. Again, that's disappearingwealth.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308. When I found the Free State Project, I knew it was the key to achieving liberty in my lifetime. It's awesome to be surrounded by like-minded, freedom-loving activists who've moved here to New Hampshire. From politics to civil disobedience, we have it all. Where I came from, it felt that no matter what I did, liberty was dying. Perhaps you feel the same way? Call 888-377-2515 now to learn more about the Free State Project. That's 888-377-2515 or visit freestateproject.org.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. You may join us here toll free. 855-450-FREE. Maybe you want to tell us your story of drug addiction and turning your life around. What was it that made you realize that you had hit rock bottom? Because there are some people who, they believe that going to jail helped them. Mm-hmm. They believe that being forced into treatment helped them. But I don't think being forced into treatment is generally a good thing to do, because then you're bringing people who don't want to be in treatment in with the people who do want to be in treatment, with the people who've chosen to go through that process, and you're forcing them to be in the same program together. And I think that can actually bring down the people who want to be there. Like, you bring somebody in who's not ready to give up drugs, and then you've got them pushing the drugs on the other people in the treatment.
I forgot one thing, one important aspect of this war on drugs. A lot of these laws and regulations seem to come from people who have lost loved ones in the process. Lost her daughter to heroin addiction, and next thing you know, they're petitioning their local government to start some program. Here in Keene, it was the war on spice. I mean, it's not regulated, but enough people came out and petitioned their local government here in Keene, and now it's a Keene ordinance. It can't be sold on any shelves here in any stores in Keene.
Actually, that actually ended up going statewide, from what I understand.
So, and it's been voted on in the affirmative?
Uh-huh.
Okay, well then, but
Sadly.
still, 1 whole year in advance, it was made law here in Keene, even though it's, statewide, it was...
Which was done illegally, by the way.
Right, it was done illegally.
They even announced basically openly in the city council meeting, the city attorney basically told the council, yeah, if anyone challenges this, it's going to get overturned.
Right, and it would have been nice if one of the big establishments here in Keene actually went up and played their hand, but as is usual, you start throwing laws and regulations even if they're unconstitutional around, people they fold. They're like, hey, yeah, what? Who am I? I'm just this little guy, and I've got a business to run. I've got mouths to feed. I got rent to pay, and these guys have unlimited money. And the Robin Hood case here in New Hampshire is a prime example. They lost, and then they lost again, and then they lost again, and they just can't give up. They won't give up.
Well, we'll see about that, Conan, because their most recent loss was almost a month ago. And the city of Keene, you're talking about the Robin Hood case, that's where myself and several other activists were sued by the city for filling people's parking meters, the city claiming that we were threatening, intimidating, and harassing their parking enforcers, which of course is ironic because it's the parking enforcers who are doing the threatening, the intimidating, and harassing by writing tickets to people and threatening to steal their cars.
They're just doing their jobs, Ian.
Well, that was one of the excuses they certainly used in court. And they ultimately did lose, and they appealed to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court kicked one small aspect of the case back to Superior Court for a full hearing. And after that Superior Court hearing, which happened this year in the fall, that Superior Court ruled again against the city. So the city has lost now again, which they can now appeal to the Supreme Court in New Hampshire. They can appeal it again if they want. But we have yet to see news that they have appealed it. Now, they could file that appeal still within the next week. They've got until basically the 20th, so less than a week, to file their appeal with the New Hampshire Supreme Court. So maybe we'll get a nice little gift for Christmas and not have to go back to court on this particular issue and put this thing to bed.
Maybe you guys will get back on the Colbert Report.
It's gone. They ended that show.
Oh, is that over? And
yeah, we were one of the last episodes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they saved some of the best for last, apparently.
So yeah, that was not a. I think we've talked about that enough. I was not a fan.
You didn't like it?
I did not like that one.
You one of those humorless libertarians?
I love my humor, but I think that was not good for the movement.
Oh no!
I think it made us look like idiots.
You weren't in the video. How'd that make you look like an idiot?
But I live here, and people know that I'm affiliated with you.
I thought it was funny.
With you knuckleheads.
I thought it was funny. It was a good show. I mean, you don't go on the Colbert Report thinking that you're gonna get respected.
I think they went easy. I think they went easy on the Keene bureaucrat. I don't think they didn't make him look like an idiot. I don't remember. Maybe I need to rewatch that one.
It all is about interpretation, Conan. I mean, I know off the air you and I were talking about the Matrix movies and different interpretations of those things. But in the case of the Colbert Report, ask yourself this: is what Stephen Colbert said, the insults that he sort of rained down upon the Robin Hooders in that video, is that what he actually believes, or is that what his character believes?
I think
Stephen Colbert character, who's supposed to be like a Bill O'Reilly type.
Yeah, I do not believe he is anywhere near the right. I believe that Colbert is a lefty all the way through, and he's a good actor. But
whose views were being presented?
I think
on the Colbert Report?
I think he's reading off a sheet. I think he's adding a lot. He's adding a lot of his own persona to the sheet that he's reading off of. But no, it's all scripted, and he is just following. I
understand that it's scripted.
He's following his producers.
I think he's one of the writers, isn't he? I don't know. I would presume he has, as a comedian, that he has some input into the writing process.
I'm not real sure, but I know a lot of people, especially these dumb millennials we've been talking about this evening, who get their news from Colbert and from
Jon
Stewart.
Yeah.
They get their news, and that's it. They don't watch. That's as far as they can go.
I get my news from The Onion.
And you know what? You really have to. Yeah, The Onion is great in that because they're always going to spin they're going to spin the mainstream meme and really tell it like it is. Same thing with South Park. Same thing with Family Guy, Simpsons.
Yeah.
I mean, you really, and these are the guys who can get away with it. The comedians can get away with it. They can actually say it like it is. They can say it straight out. As long as they put a comedic spin on it, they can get away with it.
There's some sort of famous quote about how if you make somebody laugh while telling them the truth, they'll love you for it, but if you don't, then they'll hate you or something.
Yeah, they'll throw you on a next cattle car coming through. But yeah, I mean, it's you really do have to watch all of these outlets. You've got to watch every single one of them from every single angle to get an idea of what's really going on. And who the hell has the time to do that?
I don't have that. No.
I have a hard time,
I don't even have television.
Well, I haven't. Yeah, and I haven't had cable in
what I mean.
More than a decade.
I have a TV set, but I don't.
I
cable.
I actually have 3 TV sets hooked up to my computer.
Nice.
So I'm able to watch anything that is computer related, which is, if you think about it, and we're both somewhat tech savvy, we can find pretty much everything available. But yeah, even including the stupid debate that's going on right now. Another one. That's what blows my mind. The fact that they have these debates, and all these guys pretty much sound the same, and yet they're getting huge ratings. People are watching, and they're actually considering who they're going to vote on, and this guy, the potential guy up on the stage, is actually going to save us.
People seem to still believe that every 4 years that this next president, he's going to be the right one to help the country, to save the nation, to make it great again. Isn't that what Trump is?
Yeah, make America great again, and yeah.
Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. So there's news about Star Wars. In fact, Americans apparently will be more likely to vote for their favorite Star Wars characters than voting for Donald Trump.
In the Times.
Or Hillary Clinton. 855-450-FREE, or you can tell us your overdose stories. It's Free Talk Live.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today. If you or someone you care about loves outdoor adventure, then check out slingbow.com for some unique holiday gift ideas. That's slingbow.com, where we have some innovative new products for the archer, hunter, or bow fishing enthusiast in your family. Now through January, use the promo code HOLIDAY to get free shipping in the U.S. or Canada. And from all of us at Slingbow Industries, have a safe, joyous, and peaceful holiday season.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Nestle Toll House Refrigerated Cookie Dough. Who would you bake some love for? Find fun and easy baking ideas at tollhouse.com. Kids love doing arts and crafts projects, especially when you join in. Try channeling all that artistic energy into the kitchen and bake up some creative treats together. Think of your art supplies as the frosting, sprinkles, and decorating gels, and use cookies or cupcakes as your canvas. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but will hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
If you're looking for work, it's a process of elimination, and you're trying not to be eliminated. So here's a tip for making the cut, and this might seem subtle, but to the person interviewing you, it's not. There is a world of difference between applicants who convey, "I need a job," and those who simply ooze, "I want to work," especially in these lean times when many you're competing with will seem desperate in "I'll take anything" mode. If you convey specific interest in this job at this company, you will be conspicuous. Thus, the value of going to school on the company you're applying to before the interview. With money and attention so tight now, effective communication skills have never been more important. For more tips for job seekers and everyone else, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. You're welcome to join us here toll-free. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You're certainly still welcome to comment on the war on drugs. Maybe you want to tell your personal story about how you hit rock bottom and when you actually figured that out.
Or maybe you didn't hit rock bottom. Maybe you just were a, weekend user.
Well, if you're a weekend user, you're not an addict by definition.
Maybe
right?
someone's close. Maybe, yeah. Well, I don't know if you use every single Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and you're just out like a light the whole weekend, and then you wake back up Monday and you're working whole week just to pay for your fix for the weekend.
If you can stop for an entire 5 days, that would suggest you're not addicted, right?
I don't know. I guess it depends on the quality of your addiction. I think there are lots of people who are out and about, and they live their lives. They go to work. They're able to wake up in the morning to get to work and not get fired, and then they're going home and they're immediately finding whatever their escape is. And it doesn't have to be drugs. Maybe it's some other kind of addiction. Maybe it's video
Fallout
games.
4.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Maybe it's
I use that game like a crack addict.
Maybe it's going to the club and hooking up. I mean, there's all kinds of outlets, and some of them are better than others. If you're going hiking every day after work, that's probably a pretty good addiction. But some of them are just not good.
If you want to share,
they can kill you.
Your story. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Let's go to James in Arizona. You're on Free Talk Live. James in Arizona.
Conan?
Yep, I'm here.
Why
James,
can't I hear you?
James, can you hear me?
There must be some sort of issue over on the board ops side. We'll see if we can get you on.
Why can't I hear you?
Well, I don't. Can you hear me, James? All right, we'll put him back on hold. There's probably some sort of issue behind the scenes there. I presume the board op will iron that out. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. The U.S. populace saying they would rather have Star Wars characters Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda in the presidential office than Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. According to the survey here, actually, we'll get back into that, but I think that the problem has been fixed. We're going to try James in Arizona a second time. James, can you hear us now?
I hike every day, Conan, and I bet you and nobody that broadcasts in that liberdopian den that you are in right now could keep up with me.
That's good. That's good to know. Exercise is good for you.
When's the last time you've been to church?
It's been a long time. Back when I was.
Forgive me. I thought you were in one, but I know that's a lie.
Oh.
It's a good tax scam that. This
isn't a church. It's a parsonage.
Of course. one of these days you're going to have to pay back taxes and give all that crap that you have in that building back to the man.
I believe the church is. I believe the church is up to date on its taxes, James.
Yeah, church is up to date
Conan,
on the taxes.
Conan, I fear Jesus and love my neighbor as myself, and I know that a person that lies for a living is going to go straight to hell. But anyway, Conan.
Are you saying Conan's a liar or just me?
He hangs out with one.
I see.
Conan.
You lie with dogs,
Conan.
Conan.
I heard you once talk about a footprint about a building, and I was wondering, in my experience, people that believe that 9/11 is an untold story, there's something behind it, are usually losers, lunatics, libertarians, or liars.
And, I find people who follow what is being told to them blindly, I find them just as problematic. You've got to question authority.
I didn't say anything about not questioning authority.
Okay.
That's something different. I'm talking specifically about 9/11, and you alluding to this line that a lot of losers and libertarians and lunatics and liars believe is a building fell in on its own footprint.
I think all three of them fell in on itself in their own footprint.
Right. So what are you suggesting that I don't know that you do?
I don't understand where you're coming from. It sounds like you know an awful lot of the statistics, and you're trying to debunk them as we speak.
The official story that 19 Islamist fanatics flew 2 planes into 2 tall buildings that collapsed. They flew one into the Pentagon, and they wanted to fly another one into the Capitol. I believe that is 100% true. What do you know that I don't?
What happened to Building 7? Look, I'm not a 9/11 conspiracy theorist. I don't believe the government story, but I also don't believe... All right, well, then, if you don't want to talk to me, then I'll let you go. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. What happened? What do people like James, who believe the official story,
blindly
believe happened to Building 7? I think Building 7 is one of the best questions about the 9/11 truther movement. Because
it burned for a couple of hours, and then they evacuated it because they said they were going to pull it. And it magically went down. How did they know it was going to go down? How did they know to evacuate the building? But the Pentagon one is a big one because
it was on fire, right? Building 7?
Yeah,
Wasn't it on fire?
It was on fire for a few hours, and according to the reports, it weakened the beams enough. And this is, of course, the big towers went down the same way. The beams were weakened, and the weight brought the entire structure down, nice and neat.
Like a controlled demolition.
With all those beams sticking about with the nice diagonal slices through them, which is exactly what you would find in a controlled demolition site. Huh. And, of course, you got the molten lava being pouring out the sides of the building as it's falling. But, the Pentagon one is a really big one because I have yet to see any pictures of a damn plane. For some reason, all the cameras they had on that building don't exist. The camera footage it has not been released of an actual picture of a plane crashing into that building, and there's no debris. It's just a hole in the side of the building. We're talking about a monumental structure. We're talking about a structure heavy enough, strong enough that probably the plane would have hit it, and you would have seen all debris. Hey, you know what? James is ridiculous, man. This guy... yeah, go ahead. Blindly believe in every single little thing that you're being told.
The
mainstream media is told
to you.
They would not. No, why? Why would they do? No, we're going to find out about this. It'll be years from now when it doesn't mean anything anymore, and because we'll be living with some other kind of conspiracy.
Sure.
We'll be bombing some other country 20 years from now, and we'll find out some guy in his deathbed is going to say, yeah, you know what? The whole thing was staged.
Steve's in Utah. You're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Conan. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, when James called in and started talking about 911 there, and listening to Freedom Fiends, I got this clear in my head. I used to believe in the conspiracy theories of 911.
Mm-hmm.
But then I started hearing other types of conspiracy theories, not George Bush's conspiracy theory. And it really shattered George Bush's conspiracy theories. And so, these other conspiracy theories hold as much or more water than the George Bush administration.
Yeah, there's an awful good point. I mean, what we are being told by the government is a conspiracy theory. because
that's
it's not real. So I mean, there's all kinds of. So it just really depends on
I
what
don't
side
believe any of
what
them.
side of the aisle you're on.
I don't know what the truth is.
I think you just say that so that crazy people don't call in, Ian.
No, it's not. No, that's true. I've looked into it. Like I've seen some of the movies, right? Like Loose Change, but there's also a great website called Loose Change Guide, which breaks down every single claim that the Loose Change movie makes. Like when you watch Loose Change, it seems really persuasive. Like, yeah, these guys have got it down. But then when you read Loose Change Guide, it just breaks down every single thing Loose Change says. And then of course there's like a Loose Change guide. So there's like a guide that breaks down the loose change, and it's crazy land. I mean, it's just when you get into this, you can go so deep. You go into the realm of insanity if you're not careful. I'm not saying you're insane, Conan, but I'm just saying there's a danger of that. When you get into the conspiracy theory world, it's a rabbit hole that it never ends.
And of course, it's always interesting when you find the guy who believes that everything is a conspiracy, and you've got to really figure out where are they coming from.
Subject.
Yes, sir.
I like listening to your program on the TuneIn app. Even though our station here, KZNU 1450, actually plays it on the radio, I like listening on the TuneIn app because I just love that onion news, and I don't get that on our station.
Hey, thanks, Steve. I appreciate the compliment. You can also listen online any old time at freetalklive.com, and thanks for the call. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. TuneIn app's great for pretty much every phone out there. They've got it for just about all the operating systems, and it's free. Free Talk Live.
Are your kids spending too much time online? Are they gaming instead of doing homework? Are they on Facebook instead of sleeping? Turn their internet access on or off when you want for free at webcurfew.com. 100% web-based interface means nothing to download, install, or configure. Web Curfew is free and controls any device using your home network without slowing down your internet. Block all adult web content with the click of a button. Don't let the internet raise your kids. Take back control of how and when your home internet is used for free. Visit webcurfew.com.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing healthcare for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
Concerned about harmful contaminants in your water? Look to ProPure, the most trusted name in gravity water filtration systems. ProPure, with the silver-infused Pro 1 G2.0 filter, removes over 200 contaminants, including VOCs, heavy metals, chloramines, pesticides, pharmaceuticals, fluorides, and radiologicals. We don't just say it, we back it up. The Pro 1 G2.0 filter is NSF 42 certified and independently tested to meet NSF 53 and P231 standards. Pro Pure Water, the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. Purchase with confidence in quality, performance, and customer service. Take advantage of our biggest holiday 25% off sale going on now. Visit your authorized Pro Pure dealer or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com. Or call 800-544-3533. 800-544-3533.
Free Talk Live.
We have been brought forward to bring out the truth.
I knew this was
all right. What is the truth?
No, it's in the 2 books.
Oh, you've got to buy the books. Now, how much is somebody going to have to pay for these books?
It's right online, depending on what country you're in. They're $26 a piece here in the United States, including freight.
Now, why would God put books out and require people to pay for them? What's the point in that? I mean, aren't there people out there that can't afford that?
Those of us here on Earth have had to put the material together and get it copyrighted and available.
Why would God want to copyright something? What's the point of that? I mean, wouldn't God want
anything on this planet has to be copyrighted to be put out legally by
That's
your
not true.
government
Not true at all. Not true, sir. Nope. You can put whatever you want out there.
Explain?
No, you let me explain, because whatever you want, you can put online, and nobody's going to tell you can't do it.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading on Tuesday, gold is $3 higher at $1,064 per ounce. Silver is 7 cents higher at $13.79 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $456 US. We have the lowest price Australian spiders and koalas I've seen on the web. If you find them cheaper, we'll match that price and ship for free. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Moments remain here. We've got enough time for you. If you want to join us now, you may dial in at 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Also, Skype in. Skype username is LRN.FM. Joining you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Conan.
People in America saying they'd rather have the Jedis for president. The force is strong with the American public. This from the Daily Mail in the UK. With the new poll that has come out saying they'd rather elect Star Wars characters Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi president than the political party's 2 current frontrunners.
Now, are they saying they would rather have someone with the character aspects of Obi-Wan and...
No. They'd rather elect the actual...
fictional characters that don't exist.
Correct. I mean, they are preferable to the real characters.
Actually, and when I said that out loud, I realized that, yes, I would find that preferable. Fictional characters who don't exist, who can't do anything.
They can't take office. I think this is a refreshing poll. Yoda trumps Republican frontrunner Donald Trump by 18 points. 42% saying they would support the Jedi in a hypothetical head-to-head matchup, while only 24% would support Trump, according to the Ipsos Public Affairs poll. Further, Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton also is trounced by Yoda, with 41% of respondents on Team Yoda and only 25% are ready for Hillary. Further, now
are they putting Yoda in the dim category and Obi is in the Republican category?
No, they're running them all up against Yoda.
Because if we're only allowed to vote for 2 party positions, Ian. So I mean, there's got to be who represents where.
It's a hypothetical race.
I know.
So Yoda can be in multiple parties in this particular race. And I don't know if they were asking only Democrats if they would vote for Yoda. That would be an interesting detail, and they don't give us that detail here. When they were asking about Hillary versus Yoda, were they just asking everyone who answered the poll or only the Democrats that question? That's not clear. But also, Obi-Wan Kenobi, also known as Ben, beats both politicians by double-digit margins. He received 39% comparing to Trump's 24% and 37% compared to Clinton's 26%. Clinton does have a slight edge against Chewbacca, earning 32% to the Wookiees' 28% of support. But on the other hand, Chewbacca did beat out Donald Trump 30% to 28%. And I love the idea that this wailing beast would perform better than Donald Trump.
I'll tell you what, as far as questioning authority, and I am a huge questioner of authoritarian figures, and we've already talked about the fact that I like Star Wars over Star Trek, but I'm suspicious of the Jedi class.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, look at these guys who are able to force trick people into doing what they want them to do. They're somehow above government. They don't answer to the government. They've got their own little building over here in the city, and they're making all these decisions.
Like the NSA.
For the benefit of society. And they actually came to the conclusion that they needed to take out a presidential figure. They were going to assassinate a presidential figure. These people, I mean, who do these guys work for? What is their...
The Force.
Yeah, I know, right? But I mean, I guess you can come right back and say, well, there are bad Force users, and they become the Sith Lords, or whatever they call themselves. So I mean, there are, these things can cripple oneself. You can go and you can use your powers for evil. But I'm suspicious. I think these guys might not be up to. They might not be there for the people necessarily.
Maybe we'll learn more about them in the upcoming movie, which will be released on Thursday night. Let's go to the phones and to your calls and thoughts. William is in Nevada listening to K-Talks. Hey, William.
Hey, talking about Building 7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Flight 93, there's a Project Camelot interview of a lady that was in the room when the military decided to shoot that plane down because they weren't in the big loop of the people running that the scenario.
That's the one that landed in Pennsylvania? Or crashed,
Right, yeah.
excuse me? And there's no sign of any wreckage?
Right, because the debris field's actually a few miles away. That was just a missile they shot in the ground to
Right.
give you something to look at. Now, Flight 93, my contention, was supposed to hit Building 7. You see, we have a plane without hitting a target, and we have a building that fell and no plane hit it.
Yeah, that does pose a problem when the passengers were able to break down the door. However, they were able to flip that plane.
So wait, you said that there's some lady who claims she was there when the military said they were going to shoot down Flight 93?
It's a Project Camelot interview, and she was in the room when they made the decision. She was in Pennsylvania on a military base. Now, Building 7...
And the official story, just to be clear, the official story of Flight 93 is that the people in the plane got a hold of it and then it crashed due to a struggle or something, right?
Stand the official story.
Yeah.
I'm aware of that, and I'm not buying it. Building 7, if you look up, there's a good video a guy did called Who Killed John O'Neill?
Mm-hmm.
And he goes into detail about what was Building 7. It was a spook building. That's where all the insider trading was done.
Yeah, that's where all the documents were being stored.
Exactly, for several things. So what happens is when you want to destroy headquarters when your mission is done. By the way, the BBC announced Building 7 fell before it fell.
Mm-hmm.
Live on TV says the Salman Brothers building has fallen, and it's still in the background live on television.
Yeah, that's a very well-traveled video right there, where the BBC lady is saying that the building has fallen, and it's right over her shoulder.
Still standing.
Still standing.
William, thanks for the call tonight. Appreciate it. Let's go to Charlie. He's also listening to K-Talks out there in the Arizona/Nevada corner. Hey, you're on Free Talk Live, Charlie.
You bet. Good evening, Ian and Conan.
Welcome, sir. Go ahead.
I'd like to make a brief statement and then a comment. I'm very much embarrassed by James that says he's from Arizona. I would hope that the good people that listen to the show don't confuse him with a majority of the
I would hope they don't either.
People in this state.
Charlie, I appreciate that. I would hope that our listeners know better than to judge a group of people by the actions of one. I mean, that's one of the basics of libertarianism, is that individuals should be judged on their individual merits or lack thereof. And so, no, the fact that James in Arizona is crazy or is rude is not in any way affecting how I feel about anyone else in Arizona.
What James has going for him is this: everyone likes a train wreck. They're all going to look, and they're all going to stop what they're doing to experience the train wreck they're driving past, and that's exactly what James is to the bone.
So, Charlie, what else? You had some other issue you wanted to throw out
there? Yes, I'm rather disturbed by the free use of conspiracy theories. I challenge people to Google federal conspiracy convictions. The federal government totally believes in conspiracies, and they're quite ready to throw you in jail for a long time.
Ross Ulbricht's in jail for conspiracy charges. You're absolutely right about that. And these are the things they throw at people where they can't prove anyone actually committed a crime. They say that you're going to commit a crime. You conspired to commit a crime, and so we're going to put you in prison. Charlie, thanks for the call tonight.
You bet.
Yep, 855-450-FREE is our toll-free number. That's 855-450-3733. It's like a pre-crime, a thought crime.
That's right. Minority Report.
Scary stuff.
It's coming. Philip K. Dick, read his stuff. He's a crazy guy who really seemed like he had an eye for true reality that we're getting further and further into, the rabbit hole.
About 1 out of 5 Americans consistently cheered for the dark side, though Clinton and Trump both beat Darth Vader. with Clinton performing slightly better against the former Anakin Skywalker. 33% voting for Clinton versus only 20% voting for Darth Vader, which makes me wonder where the other 50 or 47% were on that poll. Maybe they were undecided. Trump would beat Vader by 9 points, with Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia's dad earning 20% to Trump's 29%. As the gears are turning here, we're getting closer and closer to the release of the Star Wars 7th movie, The Force Awakens. We talked about it quite a bit. I think it was on Sunday night here on Free Talk Live.
It's got to be a total flop.
You think so?
I don't.
That's a ridiculous prediction.
I really don't care.
The people that have already gone to see the Hollywood premiere are saying this is a hit. The Daily Mail reporting on that as well. The reaction of people coming out, even though there's apparently some sort of an embargo on reviews for whatever reason, and usually a review embargo suggests that it's not going to be a good movie.
Right.
Like when
they're gonna make their money. But I'm saying, is it going to be a good movie? And I'm going to say it's going to be right up in there with the other three they just did. Just crap.
That's not what people are saying. They're saying that Stephen Weintraub says, not going to say much till I see it again, but rest assured, The Force Awakens is the best Star Wars since 1983, maybe 1980.
That stupid cross-bladed saber.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there.
That ruins it for you.
That ruined everything for me. Totally structurally retarded.
All right. Well, we're done for tonight, but you can join us online between now and tomorrow over at freetalklive.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
Rebel Love Show is next, live after the news, here on the